pool peeps, this is Rudy. How are you? I can't see any of you out there, but hopefully you can see me. No good deed goes unpunished, right? So, unfortunately this morning, my internet's dead. But have no fear. Hey, good morning, Gloria, Tom, what's up? Welcome to the first inaugural Shelter-in-Place trade show. We got a bunch of good things coming up for you guys today. We have a vendor every hour on the hour. We have some giveaways that some of the vendors are doing. We have some swag. Hopefully we have a little bit of fun. I know the last couple of months have been a royal pain in the ass, actually. And that's part of the reason why I put this together. I wanted to see if we could get some sense of normalcy back into our lives. I know a lot of us are essential as fuck out there on the streets, cleaning pools, doing what we need to do. And I know there's a lot of us that have been stuck inside on shelter-in-place orders, but still, even those that have been able to go out have to go out as either a masked man or woman, just to protect yourselves. Or maybe your county says you have to. Either way, still, I need some normalcy in our lives. So we got together, we got a bunch of vendors for you, a bunch of great folks. Starting at 9 o'clock, we're going to lead off with natural chemistry. We have Chris Marcano coming in after that. Then we have, I think it's Joe Wilmot right after that. In either case, I have the schedule listed for you guys right on the event doohickey. So take a look at that. Hopefully you can get to see everybody. I know a lot of you are still working today, but if you are out in the field and you do get a break, come on, check in. Like I said, I wanted to do this so we could all have some normalcy back in our lives. A trade show is something that we would normally do where we would all gather together. So this is going to be a trade show with each of us greater than 6 foot apart. So a social distancing, shelter in place, trade show, COVID bullshit. Anyway, so I want you all to have fun today. Just keep in mind, it's all about the cup.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us at the first inaugural Talking Pools virtual shelter-in-place trade show. I am Chris with Natural Chemistry, Sea Clear, Coral Seas. Well, it goes on and on.
Aquapill, Pro Series.
I'll throw this over to Jamie, our brand manager, to complete the laundry list of product lines that we have.
Hi, everybody. Jamie Novak, brand manager for Natural Chemistry, Sea Clear, Aquapill, Coral Seas, Red Leopard, and Pro Series, which is what we're going to focus on today.
Yep. Yeah, really we want to focus on the Pro Series. This is our line designated and designed around our best-in-class technologies for service professionals, commercial pools, etc. But today we're really not going to talk about a product per se. We're going to talk about a service or a, Jamie, this is your baby. Why don't you take it away and tell them what we got for them today?
Okay, well, I'm not texting. I'm actually just signing on to Zoom from my phone so that we can show you something cool that we've been working on.
From your phone? Tell me more.
But wait, there's more. Okay, guys. So we have been working on something over the past couple of years. We've had a ton of requests from our dealer base that people wanted an app. And rather than just come out with an app very quickly just to have something to offer, we really wanted to put a lot of thought and effort into what we provided to you guys. So we are really, really excited to announce the Pro Series Pool and Spa app. So this is available now for free download in the App Store.
Wait,
free.
Did you say free?
I said free. So
from the App Store right now?
The real live App Store. So Android and iPhone devices. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and show you guys the app in progress, or in action, I should say.
Yeah, and while Jamie's bringing that up, I do want to just say that this isn't just an afterthought. We have been working on this app for a number of years to get it just right. And what we wanted to do was provide our customers, our dealer base, an incredibly powerful tool that will essentially elevate and really increase the effectiveness, the efficiencies, and the overall quality of services that you can provide to your customers. And we're going to walk you through this app. like you were a first-time user to really show you everything you can get from it.
Absolutely. All right, great. Thanks, Chris, for that intro. So you guys can see down here in the bottom corner of my screen, you can see the little guy testing water poolside. That is the Pro Series logo, and so that is what the app looks like on your screen. So you just go ahead and click into here, and this is the main screen that you will see when you go into the Pro Series app. So a couple of features just to highlight on the left side of the screen. We have our water test, and I'm going to call this the anonymous water test, and I'll explain the difference between that. You're able to test water both inside of a customer profile as well as anonymously or outside of the customer profile, so it won't store the information. Same thing with the volume calculator. You can use that outside of a customer profile or inside and have it stored to their data. This feedback section right here is something where if you are in a backyard and you have a question, it's pre-populated to email right to our tech solutions team. So trying to make this a tool that you guys can use and have a little bit of interaction. So again, if you needed to ask a question, you could put that right here. You can also give us ideas for future developments with the app because we're constantly looking to improve this and make the experience better for you guys. So this is something that you can do two things in. So help make the app better, but also help to get answers to questions that you guys might have.
Yeah, and that's an incredible, powerful tool if you think about it. We're basically opening a line of communication directly with the users of this app in your customer's backyard. So that's ultimately what we wanted to do because communication is king, and we wanted to make this as close to real time as we possibly could. So we've made it as easy as we can to open up a line of communication with our professionals on our end.
You'll also see that you can go right to the Pro Series website here. We are creating a dedicated Pro Series website. For the time being, it will just go to the Pro Series section on the current natural chemistry website. So a couple of different features for you guys here. So let's get right into it. When you go to My Customers, you can see I've got a newer version of the app. My other phone has a more detailed database, but let's start like you just picked up this app from the App Store today and you want to start putting your customers into the database.
Yep. So this is pool number one on day number one of the Pro Series app on your phone.
Exactly. So let's put Chris Marcano into our app. I hear he lives on Main Street.
Yes.
Oh, or Mage Street, if I could type. We'll call it that.
Maine.
Ocala. How about Ocala? Is that Florida?
Yeah, that's Florida.
Okay. If you know a Florida zip code, bonus points.
I do not.
Let's do a Syracuse, New York one.
There you
That's
go.
where I grew up, so hodgepodge there. So then you scroll down and you can actually select whether you're a residential or a commercial pool. You can actually calculate the volume inside of the account. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where you can do it anonymously so it doesn't save to a profile, or you can do it inside the consumer's profile. So once you go into this volume calculator, you'll see you have a few different shapes that you can select from. So we've got round, oval, kidney. If you're not seeing the kidney option on here, you might have the original version of the app. So you just need to go to the App Store and do a quick update to get that and a couple other really exciting features that just launched. But if you want to calculate the volume of the pool, you just input all of the parameters. Now, just a quick note, if you're used to doing it the old school way that I am, where you do length times width times average depth times 7.5 to calculate the volume, just make sure you're selecting no to sloping sides, because that's when you're going to get the same formulation as that calculation. So otherwise, if you do have sloping sides and you want to account for that, click yes. So Chris, why don't you give me some numbers to work in here?
Kidney pool.
Okay, kidney pool.
Length is 32.
Okay.
Width on the large diameter would be 20.
Okay.
16.
Okay.
2 feet. 6 feet.
Okay, and then you click calculate, and you'll see your pool volume is 15,552 gallons. Then you use this gray button right here to say use calculation, and that's going to input that volume into Chris's account, and it will be stored there until you ever want to change it. So it's not something you have to do every time you go out to the pool. This will be part of his account profile. So next Oh, go ahead.
So we have essentially created a working file within this app for your pool customer number one. It's just that simple. We have their data, it's stored, and now we've got the details and parameters of their swimming pool, and we enhance those even more. So you can start to drill down on the finish type, which is colored plaster, system type.
Is it a pool? Is it a spa? Is it a swim spa? We can do any one of those. Just before we get too far ahead, it's very important to indicate whether you have a salt chlorine generator or you're using it's a regular chlorine pool, because that does actually impact the testing results. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Select in-ground. We'll put a phone number in here, 234. And then we actually will put your real email in here so that we can email you the results of your water test, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. This is a new feature for this app and something we are really excited to show you guys. And actually, you guys are the first people to really see this in a demonstration capacity. So
Right. It's your lucky day.
Yes. Gate code 12. He has a dog.
Yep. And that's something that I don't want to overlook. The notes section on the customer's file is invaluable for this little kind of unique information. You know, what a gate code is, if the homeowner really likes to have their hose re-rolled back up in a certain way, you know, if they have a tendency to be peculiar about the furniture in a certain place, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But again, it's a really easy way to use and to customize the experience that you have with the homeowner.
Okay, so now we've created Chris Marcano in our database. At any time, we can go in and edit his information if we needed to. We can delete him if we want to. Wish it was that simple in real life, but
I saw that coming a mile away.
All right, so now that we have Chris in our database, we can test his water. So you can see that it's already automatically got his gallons in there. So Chris, why don't you hit me with some numbers?
Okay, it is a 1 part per million chlorine rating, 7.2 pH.
Okay. Do you
right
have any problems?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned. It's a little bit cloudy right now. There's a lot of pollen in the air here in Ocala.
Yes, yes, there is. Okay, what's your alkalinity?
80.
Okay.
190.
Okay.
40 on cyanuric acid.
Okay.
Total chlorine is a 1.2.
Okay, noticing that you have the option to put your free and your total in.
Yes.
We're going to skip the bromine since this is not a bromine pool. What about your phosphate levels?
Well, I can assure you that they're near zero because I use one of the highest quality maintenance phosphate removers there is out there, made by Natural Chemistry and C-Clear. So let's go ahead and say 20 parts per billion. Very low.
Very low. Great job. Do you have borates in your pool in Ocala?
I do not have borates.
Okay. What is your TDS level?
1,400.
And what is the water temperature?
77 degrees.
77 degrees. Great. So now we have all of our information input. Click on calculate and let the app do its job. So you can see a very detailed water analysis up at the top. I'll let Chris speak to the results.
Yeah, so essentially what we have here is a very extensive, very thorough set of parameters put in place for the water test application. This is going to be really, really valuable for service techs out there that are doing these pools because it really standardizes the procedure. You have to input all of those variables, which are very, very well thought out. But it also calculates using the most advanced formulations of the saturation index, the LSI. So we're going to tell you what exactly in a step-by-step process is based off of all these parameters and the LSI put together and basically quantifying into one recommendation. And the steps will all be sequenced in the way that is best for the pool. But this is designed to get that water into a very clean and sanitized state, as well as an extremely balanced state, factoring in all of the variables we put in. Surface type, dissolved solids, temperature, all of those things are factored in here. So we've made it as easy as we possibly can to give you as an extensive recommendation as possible, but also very easy to execute.
Absolutely. And you'll see that the recommendations are generic where there aren't natural chemistry branded products for the solution. But for example, when the water needs to be clarified because it's cloudy, as Chris mentioned, we've got a fantastic clarifying product that we would recommend. And we also recommend it by brand with the instructions, and we can link you out to the SDS as well, so that if you wanted to have the SDS right on hand and had to show it to someone, for example, it's right here at your fingertips.
Yeah, this is invaluable too for commercial applications. If you're servicing these HMAC pools, you've always had, it's always crucial to have access to current SDS forms, and it's just right there at your fingertips with this app, so you can send it right to your customers or anybody in need. But again, a step-by-step recipe that's generated instantly. It's very thorough, very detailed, and it's going to tell you exactly what to do and what sequence to get that body of water to a perfect state.
Perfect. So the other thing you can do with this app that is very exciting is you can actually add photos.
Yes.
So yes, we're going to go ahead and add a picture of Chris's backyard. Living the life there in Ocala.
There it is.
Backyard. So we'll add that note. We'll hit submit. I personally would want to add a picture of the equipment pad, so that I would have that as a reference if I ever wanted to know how it was set up, or wanted to be able to see that from my house as opposed to having to stop by the pool to see what they're dealing with. So
yeah, that's a great resource to have, just because it's invaluable for referencing if the customers reached out to you, the homeowners reaching out to you and asking about something. You look at pads, you look at pumps and filters all day long. They all start to look the same, but if this particular pool with a file that you've built very easily with this app, they're contacting you, you can pull up this data and look at it and give you a better help in troubleshooting. So I love that feature.
yeah, and another feature that I love is you can send a photo of what the pool looks like when you left, for example,
Yes.
and you could send that to them along with the water testing results. So I'm going to go ahead and email this report to Chris Marcano, and I'm going to say today's visit, and I can actually type whatever I want in this section of the communication. Today we had a great visit. Pool is clear. Or whatever you want to say. Let's say you noticed that there was a small leak with their pump, or there was something going on that you wanted them to keep an eye on. You could actually put that right here in this communication.
Or let's say there was a treatment that was applied that typically isn't part of a normal maintenance program. So there was some additional CYA added to the body of water, or some supplemental enzymes were added to help break down some non-living organics, per se. So that can be noted in there as well to validate and kind of justify and show value to the customer. So it's an incredibly useful feature of this to really help your day-to-day.
Exactly. And I can go ahead and copy myself on this. I can send it to any number of people, and this sends right from your native email file. So now we can go back and we can see that this was done in Chris's account. So we've got this history here. If we do another test today, let's say when we got there, it wasn't exactly how we want it. When we left, we tested it again, and we put that everything was just as we wanted it. We can do another water test in here. I'm just kind of throwing some numbers together, but this will do a secondary water test. What did I say? One up here. So you can do as many as you want in a day. What did we say? 1,477, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. So the one thing I will tell you is that when you do multiple water tests in a day and you want to send the report to the customer, it is going to send all of the water tests from that day. So that's where we were talking about this anonymous water test feature earlier in the segment. That's if you, for some reason, walk up to the pool and you know it's out of balance and you wouldn't want to send that report to the customer, I would just use the anonymous water test feature, get an idea, get a treatment plan, and then go ahead and do your official test inside the consumer's account when you're comfortable with what the results are.
Yeah, there's essentially two modes you can use this app in. Kind of a quick hitter, extensive calculator, for lack of a better term,
Right.
with all these preset formulations built into it, or the more extensive database catered, custom catered to your customer base and your service route.
Absolutely. So yeah, this database is what you make of it. It's what you store inside of it. How much information you put in there is how useful it'll be to you. But the fact that you have all of this customer data at your fingertips is really the key takeaway with this app that we wanted to convey today. I mean, we could spend hours talking about it. We won't subject you guys to that, but we did want to give you, at least a quick overview so that you guys could get started. When you're looking for this in the App Store, you just need to search Pro Series Pool and Spa, and it'll come up and get you on your way. So that was
the best thing I can recommend is download it now. Go to the App Store, download it, and just start playing with it. If anything, use it for the extensive, state-of-the-art, best-in-class pool design calculator that it is, even though it's much more than that.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, since I think we have a couple more minutes, one of the things that we wanted to make sure that you guys as service professionals are aware of is our free phosphate test kit program. So the phosphate tests are a huge value to your company. You're getting a free app where you can store your customer information, but now you also have these free phosphate test kits. Chris, you want to talk about these?
Yes, these are extremely accurate, made for us by Hawk, a fantastic testing strip company, but we provide these to our registered dealers at no cost. So by simply getting a hold of us, reaching out, we will determine how best to get you them, take your request for them, but we provide at no cost our dealers a phosphate test kit that is extremely accurate, extremely fast, extremely easy to use. And again, the best thing about them is they are free. So be sure and take advantage of that. I'm going to be hanging out live on the rest of this show for the last few minutes, and I can answer any messaging feedback we've gotten. And also, Jamie, if somebody does want one of these test kits, how is the best way they can order one right now?
Yeah, Chris, that's an easy question right there. You just need to visit naturalchemistry.com. If you go to the support and troubleshooting section, just click into there and click dealers. And inside this dealer section, you have a couple of different tools, but one of my favorites is the phosphate test kit request. So you just fill out your information here. This is not for consumers. This is for pool pros only. Submit the message. They will ask you for a proof of purchase if you're not already in our database as a customer. Hit submit, and there you go.
There you go. Okay. Hey, thank you guys so much. I'm going to let Jamie get out of here to go to her happy hour. And then I am going to be hanging around here on this Saturday morning to live, real-time answer any questions that you have for us here on this product, on these apps, on anything you have. If it's bugging you, if it's concerning you, if you're curious, let me know and we'll get it squared out. So thanks again, Jamie. I really appreciate you helping out. And download that app on the App Store, Pro Series. Do it.
Pro Series Pool and Spa. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.
Hey, everyone. It's Chris. Good morning. Thank you for listening to Jamie and I talk about the Pro Series app. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you coming here. It's a pleasure to be in the Shelter in Place inaugural first annual trade show. I hope everybody is well. I hope everybody's keeping safe out there and doing what we have to do within our communities for what's best for our businesses and for our families and everything else. But yeah, hopefully we can offer some help and remedy and some enhancements, I should say, with the addition of that app. Couple of questions that popped up during that was a couple of different people actually inquired about one of our clarifiers, this is really our staple from our C-Clear line, the chitosan clarifier. Used to be known as natural clarifier. It's always been the same stuff though. So I'll give you a little bit of a history of this product there just to kind of answer these questions. This product was actually the flagship of the C-Clear Vanson company for 30 years. And it's one of the neatest actual products that we make just because the story is so good. So this is actually utilizes the active ingredient is called chitosan, but it's actually a really responsibly sourced main ingredient because it's derived from Dungeness crab shells up in the Northwest that would typically be a byproduct of shellfish canneries and stuff where they're disposed of, filling up, basically in ocean dumps and stuff. So we're taking essentially trash, an organic trash, and pulling out one of the ingredients from these shells, which is called chitosan. But once it's extracted, it actually acts as the most effective form of a coagulant or something that actually takes small particles that are suspended in solution and pulls them together. So that's what this stuff does. And it does it better than really anything out there because there's really no side effects with it. You can overdose this. I have literally put a 32-ounce bottle in an 8,000-gallon body of water with no negative effects. It's not like a polymer clarifier, which worked very, very well. But those, if they're overdosed, can have negative effects. They can actually start making particles repel each other. They can start to fill up filters and gum up filters. But this actually does not do that. It works slightly different. But the other cool thing about this is that the active ingredient in this, the chitosan, actually is enhanced and the effectiveness of it is increased in the presence of high levels of oxidizer or halogen. So essentially what you can do as a service technician is shock and shine your customer's pool. So if you're super chlorinating that day, and it doesn't matter if it's with bleach or with cal hypo or whatever you're doing, but if you're elevating that oxidizer level up there and you add a maintenance dose of the chitosan clarifier, it actually makes a very, very good product work even better. So it enhances that, which is pretty freaking cool when you think about it. So if you want to really put some pop and sparkle into your customer's water, pick up some of this and add it when you shock, because your customers will see a noticeable difference in the clarity of that water. Even if they really didn't have any issues with cloudy water, they're going to see that water really shine. So great product. If you haven't used it, please give it a try. Let us know. Another thing I wanted to mention is that people hear the story about chitosan clarifier and they wonder, well, what about shellfish allergies? So we always get that. I get that question personally about 100 times a year. The bottom line is that if anyone is using this product that has an extreme shellfish allergy, they are completely safe. They are completely fine. This is derived from things that are extrapolated from the exoskeleton of the crabs, the Dungeness crabs. It's not anything that causes an allergic reaction. That is something that's actually in the protein of the animal, not the actual exoskeleton. So this is completely fine. It's processed. It goes through a number of different refinements, and we buy the highest quality that's possibly available. That's available on the market. So the best chitosan in the world is actually in this product. So again, awesome clarifier. It works fast. You can't overdose it. Compatible with every filter, and shock and shine. Like, that's the coolest thing. When you super chlorinate, throw some of this in there, and that's just going to sparkle. It really is. So check it out. And Jamie and I mentioned the phosphate test strips. Don't be afraid to ask us for that. We walked you through there. Go to the website. If you're not a registered dealer, just go ahead and register as a dealer. And basically, we'll provide you with the state-of-the-art phosphate test strips at test kit at no charge. Made for us by Hawk. Extremely high quality, effective, reliable, accurate, you name it. They've got it covered for you from that, from a standpoint of the technology that's in these strips. So it's an invaluable tool and when you're testing phosphates, because it validates everything. So it's going to let you know if you're using the right phosphate remover. It's going to let your customers know that you're taking care of them, because it is kind of a challenge to get someone to kind of like, oh, you're telling me about this phosphate level that's in my pool that needs to be reduced, but I really can't see any issues, and I'm not having really any problems that directly correlate to this high level. And once you show them on a test, a dealer, like, hey, here's your level, it's high. This test tells you that. And I added this product and now it's low. So basically you're at much lower risk to have these common issues that happen in the other pools that aren't taking out the phosphates. So use them, test frequently, test often, especially when they don't cost you anything. It's a great, who can say no to free, right? So, and I did want to kind of in closing here, we're up against the time in a couple of minutes. I did want to point out that we commented in the comment box off the video that if you send us a screenshot, right? Send us a screenshot of the Pro Series app downloaded to your phone. Just screenshot that to marketing@ncbrands.com, marketing at letter N, letter C, brands.com. You will be entered into a random drawing. We'll probably do this on a repeat basis, to be honest. I'm feeling generous this morning. But go ahead and do it now. And we're going to do a random drawing pretty quick. And we're going to, the winner is going to pick a case of any product from the Pro Series line, and we'll just directly ship it to you. So it's a couple $100 worth of free products. Who can say no to that? Download the app, try it out. If you have any questions or any concerns, you can always get a hold of us through this forum or through any of the NC Brands Natural Chemistry website pages or anything like that. Again, it's right up against the half hour. I want to keep this rolling. We're the first one. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. Please stay safe. We appreciate your professionalism and everybody's efforts out there in the field making our industry better, especially with this group. And I look forward to seeing the other vendors on the first annual virtual shelter in place show. So thanks again for your time. I personally really appreciate it, and get a hold of us if you need anything. We really do appreciate you out there. Have a great day, guys.
Good morning, everybody. This is Jack from Jack's Magic, and I'm with my lovely assistant today, Honey Bear. So she'll be helping me do this show. I've been stuck in the house for over a month. So it's been kind of interesting for me. Good morning, Gloria. Good morning, Rudy. So I don't have products to display and stuff because I'm home, and like I said, I haven't been in the office in over a month. So it's just me and Honey Bear here. But we do have a lot of really, really interesting, good products for commercial applications. For example, our super packs are a dry enzyme in a water-soluble pouch that you throw in. One ounce pack will last 2 weeks and 20,000 gallons. So they're very easy to dose. They also work great in hot tubs, in spas, commercial spas. And one thing that's, of course, all the rage is phosphate removers. We don't have a phosphate remover per se. We do have clarifiers that will reduce phosphates to a degree, but we don't recommend eliminating phosphates. And Flint, Michigan is a good example of that. They didn't add the orthophosphate to their treatment water, and they ended up killing kids and stuff in Flint, Michigan, because they were leaching lead out of all the pipes. And so that's a problem. Orthophosphates actually protect against leaching of lead and copper. And I've noticed some people posting have said that, well, they've got a heat exchanger that keeps getting stripped out and staining the pool. Well, some of that is because if you take all the phosphates out, you don't have any protection for lead and copper pipes. So if you've got an older heater that's copper and lead soldered, I really recommend against using a phosphate remover. I think they're great for when you have an extreme problem, but if you don't, and you have metals in your system, it's better to leave them in there. Like I said, our clarifiers, our emerald stuff and sapphire stuff, they are basically aluminum base. So they don't create polymer clouds like a lot of the polymer clarifiers do. And if they can be used as a flock if you exceed the normal dosage. And over the years, we've had polymer clarifiers, but really didn't have good luck with them. Good morning, Chris. Oh, there's Jules. Jules is watching too. Here, wave to Jules. This is Honey Bear. So anyway, this kind of to talk about this COVID stuff. Back in the first week of March, we basically went to 1-day shifts. So we split up our crews, and thank you, Gloria. We split up our crews, so each of our employees works 2 half days a week. So that's what we had to do to keep the spacing, and keep everybody safe. So everybody still got paid their 40 hours, and we kept their insurance benefits and everything going for them, with no guarantee that things were going to get any better anytime soon. But we've always tried to take really good care of our employees. And our salespeople, they've basically been sitting at home for over a month because we told them to stop traveling. And so we did what we thought was right. And we're still being able to ship orders. My daughter, Nadia, actually runs the company now, so they really haven't missed me being there for a month, which is good. It's a huge relief, but she's actually answering the phones and pulling orders, and just, she wears a lot of different hats. Thanks, Jules. I'm glad you think it was a good idea. It's just, we're a small family company. We're based here in Florida. We're actually in Largo, Clearwater area. And we take care of our people. That's what we've always done. So talking about apps, I know everybody's crazy about all these apps. Well, we came out with a new analog app, and it won't run your batteries down. It's actually a wheel that tells you whatever problem you're trying to work on. You just turn this wheel, and it tells you which products are the correct ones to use for the situation you've got. So I call it our analog app. And so we've had kind of a lot of fun with that. If anybody wants one, just email me at Jack's Magic, and we'll make sure we get one in the mail to you. It really simplifies understanding our products. Chris, it's a wheel. It's a joke that I call it an analog app. It's actually It's actually a wheel that tells you how to solve problems and which of our products to use. So it's not at the App Store. It's at the Jack store. So you you have to email me if you want one, and we'll send one out to you. Chris, I'm glad you caught up with that. There's another Chris Harrigan. Hey, thanks for coming by. So anyway, we've got, okay, well, Rudy, you need to email me with an address and we can get one out to you. Oh, that's, Gloria, that's a great question. I'd rather do questions than sit there and just hawk products. Back in the 80s, the late 80s, I had friends of mine that were going out of business replastering pools. And most of it was because of spot etching. Oh, thanks, Nadia. Appreciate you piping in there. So anyway, I started developing ways to make the spots disappear. It didn't repair the plaster, but it made the yellow spots go away. And that was pretty much how I started. It was to keep friends of mine that were plasterers and pool builders from going out of business because they were having to redo these pools. And there were a lot of so-called experts out there that were throwing them under the bus. So after that, I developed that, and then I ended up doing a lot of expert witness work. And then we went from just a few products to fixing a few problems to we have a pretty extensive line now. And it just got totally out of hand. So we went from being basically working in the back of a building to we have a fairly large facility. You can, on our webpage, you can view it and kind of see what we do.
Hey, it's Rudy again. So we lost Jack for a little bit. He'll be back, and when he comes back, we'll definitely let him finish up. And thank you for asking all the great questions you asked. That's fantastic. We all appreciate the involvement. But while we're waiting, I thought that I would try quickly to see if I could not create a saltwater generator out of things that I have in the house. So I went around really quick after we lost communication, and I gathered up a few things here. So I have a cup, I have a 9-volt battery, I have some salt, and then I got some tap water. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to fill this cup with tap water. Just fill it up. And then I'm going to take some salt, get a couple of teaspoons. When you add salt to water, we all know the compound salt is NaCl. So when you add salt to water, it dissociates into both, Na and Cl. Cl being chloride, Na being sodium. Then, when we run it through a salt generator, when it goes through the salt cell, electrolysis occurs. And we take that chloride, and it becomes chlorine gas, and that's how we chlorinate the pool. But the the water itself is also subject to electrolysis, so that's the important thing to understand. So the water is also split. It goes from H2O to being, oh Christmas. I clean pools really well. Taking a battery out of a package apparently is not within my wheelhouse. Anyway, so we on the opposite side, water is subject to hydrolysis as well. So the Na and the OH, they kind of hook up and it becomes sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is what causes the spike in the pH. I know some folks also say it's the bubbling off of the hydrogen, and I'm sure it's a combination of a little bit of both. So I want to try to show you that here. The only thing I need for you to understand going into this is, one, dealing with a cup of salt water and a 9-volt battery, not a swimming pool. But in the swimming pool, we use an electrolytical process for electrolysis. Right here with the battery, I'm going to use an electrochemical process because, you know, there's chemicals in there and that's what holds the charge. The reason I'm explaining that is because everything's going to be flip-flopped. Normally, in electrolysis, what you'd see is the anode being the positive and the cathode being the negative. So what you would see is the bubbling off of hydrogen occurring at the positive. However, in an electrochemical cell, it's going to be just the opposite. So we're going to see the bubbling of hydrogen come off at the cathode. And if we allowed it to go a long enough period of time, we would actually produce some chlorine. I'm not going to put you guys through that, but I did want to show you. Oops. I'll plop that in there. And can you guys see this here? Now you can respond good because I can't tell. I'm not sure if you can see the bubbling in the cup there, but that bubbling that we see at the top, let's see if I can find out over here. The bubbling you see at the top right now, that's hydrogen bubbling off at the cathode, which is the negative. Now it's kind of interesting because this is a lot of how pH actually got its name. There's a bunch of different theories on how pH got its name, but realistically what had occurred, Sven Svorensen at the Carlisle Foundation, he was doing some experiments in electrolysis, and he hooked up his electrodes and he labeled his positive electrode as a P, and then he labeled his negative electrode as a Q, right? So what he noticed then, just like we're seeing here, is the hydrogen's all bubbling off from the positive. Of course, it's reversed here like we discussed, but it's bubbling off from the electrolysis from the positive, which is the positive in this cell. And all he did was make himself a little note next to that and write the word H. So next to the big P for his positive, he wrote a little H, and that's where we got pH. And if you actually look back through his notes at the Carlisle Foundation, it states that specifically. All he was doing was documenting that the hydrogen collected at the positive anode and bubbled off. So it's a lot more simple than power of hydrogen or potent hydrogen or all those other things we came up with that we use nowadays. The guy was just simply, you know, making himself a note. Pretty cool. Anyway, I'm hoping you guys can see those bubbles. I'm going to lower it a little bit more. I don't want it to get blurry on you, but oops, it is bubbling off pretty good. And I can't see your responses, unfortunately, because you're aimed at the table versus me. And for some reason, I'm not able to pull it up on a separate screen. But anyway, like I said, so electrolysis right now, we're, the reason I add the salt and just didn't do it with water is because water is a horrible conductor of electricity. So we did need a little bit of saline salt in there to help that out. But it gives you a good idea of what's occurring in your salt cell or in your pools. Oh yeah, you can see the bubbles there. I actually pulled it up. So I'm hoping that was cool, and I'm hoping that was a good intermission for our little hiccup in the show. But Jack will be back, I promise. So thanks, and I will talk to you all soon.
Okay, I'm back. Honey Bear must have hit a button or something wrong. She's been learning how to shake the last day or so. So don't mess up my camera again. Anyway, so you brought up surface magic. Surface magic is a Okay, I think I'm back live again on the right page. Again, we talked about surface magic not being a soap. It's actually used in Pearl Harbor for collecting and the oil coming up from the Arizona that's still leaking today. They put Surface Magic in the water to corral it. So it is safe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have messed this up so badly today. Maybe if Rudy gives me another shot, I'll do better next time. I'll be more prepared. I'll have more assistance and products to display, and I'll even have the analog app here to show you. So is anybody still here? And does anybody have any questions? Oh, another good product we've got, great product we've got, is for vacuum DE filters. We actually have a cellulose fiber that is NSF 50 certified, and as a replacement for DE. It's safe, biodegradable, and it actually filters better than DE, and you'll get longer filter runs after the first or second application. So I would encourage anybody who's tired of handling DE or doesn't want to handle DE anymore. Our filter fiber stuff is actually great for as a top dressing on sand. You can actually top dress a cartridge filter with it, or you can completely replace DE with it. And in vacuum DE filters, it's phenomenal. Oh, Andrew, I'm sorry. On the Surface Magic, it's not a soap. It's not a surfactant at all. It's simply corrals debris on the surface, where if you were using soap, you actually reduce the surface tension of the water, and a lot of your debris will sink instead of being moved across the pool. So again, I'm sorry that I messed up the explanation. I did it a few different times, but I found out I was on the wrong page. So I hope that clears it up. Is there something more you would like to know about it, Andrew? It's a non-toxic, totally safe chemical to use. I wouldn't recommend doing your dishes with it, because it won't clean your dishes very well, but it'll certainly clean the surface of your water, and allow you to capture pollen, bugs, gnats, sticks, grass clippings. So it's very effective at just moving stuff across the water, not sinking it. Because if you sink it, then you're doing double work. Well, Andrew, it won't foam, so you won't get any foaming issues from it. Again, like I said, it's not good to. You wouldn't want to wash your dishes with it. And hey, Greg, thanks, Gregory. I appreciate you doing that. That's the whole purpose. 2-ounce bottle of Surface Magic will do about 50 residential pools. It goes a long, long way. Like I said, 2 drops per 100 square feet. And we've actually had service guys that were able to add an additional pool or 2 on their route every day from using it, because it saved them so much time trying to skim the surface of the water. And I think, Greg, I don't know if that's your experience or not, but that's that's the whole point of what it's for. Now, we have our line of Power Blue products as well, which the Power Blue products have we have a water line and tile cleaner that's phenomenal. You just spray it on and wipe it off, especially that dark carbon that comes a lot of times from airplanes. It's just partially burnt fuel that builds up on the water line. And our scale off is a non-muriatic acid scale remover. So you can spray it on features to take the scale off without destroying it and without eating up the grout lines. Oh, that's funny, Dakota. That's I'm glad. It's a fun product. I used to live on the water, and the neighbor's lawn guy would blow a bunch of grass into the water. And so I'd go out on the dock and there was grass all around it, and I'd take a few drops and put it in the water, and it'd move it back over to the neighbor's house. So I didn't have to look at their grass clippings. Any idea where we are on time? So anyway, you'll find that our cartridge cleaner from the Power Blue line, it's just unbelievable how well it's spray on a cartridge filter, wait 4 minutes, and rinse it off. You can do it while you're making a regular service call, and you add a filter clean to your call, and it just works phenomenal. The customers will be loving it for sure. All right, well, I think we're getting close to time that I should wrap this up, unless anybody has any other questions. Like I said, I'd much rather do questions. Oh, we've got 2 minutes. Well, Rudy says it's okay to stop if I'd like to. Like I said, if we get to do this again, which I think, what a phenomenal idea. Rudy's so innovative to come up and try to do something like this. I think it's great. He's got a great group, and I really enjoy watching the post, even though I don't jump in a lot. I do like seeing the post and the things that people are coming up with and problems that they're dealing with. Oh, you're welcome, Greg. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, Dakota. Yeah. Well, we try. We do try to make awesome products. We don't make Me Too products. So that's why everybody's got something just like Jack's, but Jack doesn't have something just like anybody else's. So thank you again for your time. Rudy, thank you very much. Y'all are phenomenal, and I'd love to come back another time. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Honey Bear says goodbye too.
Hello, hello. Hope everybody can hear me. My name is Joe. I am the creator of the Pool Trader app. And first of all, thank you to Rudy Stankiewicz for putting this together. Very, very cool. I'm excited to be a part of this, and to be in such good company. A lot of great vendors and everybody that are a part of this. So thank you again for having me. Thank you for the opportunity. So again, my name is Joe. I'm located in the Phoenix, Arizona area, and I'm a fellow pool tech since 2008, and I have created the Pool Trader app. What is Pool Trader? For those of you that may not know or may not have ever heard of it, it is real simple. It is a 100% free app for swimming pool professionals, just like you and I, to be able to buy, sell, and trade pool accounts to get tighter routes. That's it. That's the objective, and that was my goal. So before, the only, or maybe just the three main ways, maybe not the only ways, but that we were able to trade routes or even just an individual pool, you had to go on Craigslist or some form of a online website. You had to go through a broker, which they might not even bother for anything, you know, for one or two pools, or certainly anything less than you know, that's worth their while. They provide a service. Or you post on the cork board at the local warehouse, right? Those are the three main ways. Now we have something that could possibly replace all of them, the Pool Trader app. So let me give you a quick, hey Rudy, what's up, man? And guys, please feel free to comment and let me know that you can hear me. And I can't change the way my face looks, but maybe I can do something with lighting. But feel free to comment. Then please, throughout this whole presentation, please ask me questions. I get a lot of questions. A lot of people want to know the ins and outs. I'm an open book. Ask away. I'm watching the comments, and I'll go back and forth with answering anything you might have. So I'm just going to pull up the app on my iPad here. Might be a little hard to see. Actually, let me do this. Maybe is that a little better? So when you launch the app, it'll take you right to the map. It'll zero in on my location right here. Sorry, I'm trying to do it backwards. There I am, located in a little town called Fountain Hills, Arizona. Simply just scrolling out. Those are all listings in the Phoenix, Arizona area. As I continue to scroll out, oh, there's a couple up in Las Vegas, California, and obviously the hotter states are a lot more activity. Texas and Florida, where a lot of people from Talking Pools, a lot of you guys are located in Florida and everything. But anyway, beyond that, something that's also really cool, it's worldwide, everybody. That's all the way across the world. People that they might not exactly understand what the Pool Trader app is, but the one gentleman in the Middle East, outside of Saudi Arabia, actually messaged him back and forth. He knows exactly what Pool Trader is, and he was excited about it. So this is not just something located in the United States. This is a worldwide tool, free tool at that our fellow techs around the globe can utilize to try to get tighter routes. But so that's what the map screen looks like. Hey, John Rose, what's up, buddy? Then if you click on the list screen, and sorry guys, I don't know if you can see that. It's really bright on my screen, so I apologize. But it'll list the pools based on your location. It'll go by mileage first. So the first pool on there from me is 1 mile away. The next ones are about 8, 11, etc., because the main goal, don't forget, is we're trying to get tight routes. Or at least if you're not a service tech, this isn't just for service techs, repair guys, builders, remodelers. Overhead is exactly that, right? The further you're driving, the more you're spending in gas, the more you're spending on everything. It's just more money out of your pocket. So just to get a tighter area of whatever you do, but specifically in the pool industry, you can put yourself on the map. I'll get into that in just another second. Just want to show you a couple more features. Obviously, it's free to use. You can use it as a guest. You do not have to create an account. You can look at the map. You can see what's going on. Actually, let me go back to the map. And it's just as simple as that. If you I am located here. It's like, well, what's this listing? You just click on it. Pulls it up, the gentleman's information, and then you can just go from there. Most of the time the back button works. But anyway, But if you want to make a post, much like Craigslist, you can look for free, you can do whatever you want. But if you want to actually make a post, you have to create an account. Email, password, that's it. So easy peasy. And you would just simply do that, a pop-up screen, sign in, log in, create an account. And very simple in that regard. So, and my information on the app, contact us. All my information's on there. So everybody and anybody is free to contact me at any point in time. All my information is on there. You can go to pooltrader.net. That's my website, and it has the links to the app in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store, Android. All at pooltrader.net. Pun intended with the net. So maybe the most important tab for me anyways at the moment is one right here. It says special offers. Right now it's blank. It's in transition as I'm working with my developers to populate that. One of the biggest questions that I get about the Pool Trader app, Joe, most people have a general idea or concept that this is real money. This is serious money. What, and you're offering it for free. What's the deal? Why are you offering this for free? One, because I sincerely care. When I started my pool business with 0 customers, pounding the pavement in 2008, I'm sure it's like this with you guys in Florida, Texas, California, you know, the warmer states, of course. I drove by pool guys and gals all the time. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm an idiot. I'm driving I'm 25 miles from my house because somebody called me and wanted a quote and I got the customer and I needed income, right? So you take the account in the very beginning. And just as I drove by more and more people, I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing wrong? I bet this pool professional lives right around the corner from here, you know, and we're parked right across the street. So that was the seed of motivation. Like, why isn't there something that helps all of us communicate with one another other than just the internet or other than a broker or other than the cork board at the local warehouse, SCP, PWP, whatever your local market is. So that's where the motivation came from way back when, and that's where we're at today. I actually have something that's out there. I'm very, very excited because, and please, those of you that are already using it, thank you. I've gotten several different people that have given me feedback, told me success stories. I've posted about this on my my Instagram account, Pool Trader app, if you want to follow me on Instagram. But the best success story I've heard is a local couple here outside the Phoenix area. They posted on the Pool Trader app, and 15 minutes later, they were contacted, and that gentleman ended up buying 31 pools. Just like that. Of course, that's the best. That's not going to happen all the time, of course. That's an extreme example. But just hitting the 1-year anniversary of the app launching, I launched it March 27th or 8th, I think, 27th of 2019. To have a result like that within the first year, and I am barely spending any money advertising this thing at all. I'm trying to use every free means possible because I do have real money in the app. Hearing stories like that motivates me, and it gets me so excited, sometimes choked up even, because it's like the vision's coming true. The dream is happening. This is a real tool, and people are literally benefiting from it. That's my hope. I hope that everybody, nationwide, worldwide, maybe one day, uses the app and is able to see, buy, sell, and trade with one another, to get tighter routes and just lower your overhead. That's all it's about. It's a tool built by a fellow pool tech for all my fellow techs. Back to the app, and just a quick description on the map. You might wonder, if you can see it, there's different colored pins. Green is wanted, red is for sale, and blue is a specific service offered. So exactly what it says, wanted, that's just a fellow tech in a specific area saying, I would like 10 more pools in Fort Lauderdale or Scottsdale or Riverside. I would like 10 to 20 more pools. And all you're doing there is alerting fellow techs, because we get this all the time, right? We get a phone call. Yes, hello, Joe's Pools. No, I'm sorry, I don't service that area. Well, what's the next usual question that you get? Do you know someone that does? And a lot of us do. We rub shoulders, we bump into one another. We've got a couple of guys that maybe we're tight with that we know, oh, hey, Bob works in that area. And I actually have his number. Yeah, look, you know, we give away free leads all the time. I know I did anyway. I gave away free leads constantly. I wanted to find other pool techs that I could identify, or I could connect with different areas of the Phoenix area. And you know, I know certain people get real cautious, you know, giving a name out or whatever, referring somebody that maybe you don't know their work or whatever, but a free lead is a free lead, right? So, and you can always disclaimer, right? Like, I know a gentleman that's in that area, don't know how long he's been in business or anything like that, but I'm happy to pass along his number to you. I wish you success. That simple, you know? And a lot of, I've had this happen as well. You give a referral to somebody. I've had it happen twice, I think, in 10 years, coincidentally. That person actually sold that house and moved into my area and called me. Joe, you don't know me, or maybe you don't remember me, but I asked if I called you years ago. We actually moved to Fountain Hills, Arizona, where you are now. Do you still do pool service? I absolutely do. I'd love to meet you face to face. Many of you have experienced things like that, and that's just how this whole thing works. Work with one another, and it can be a beautiful thing. Ryan Ludsford, what's up? John Rose, what about customers looking for service near their location? Good question. That's another big question I've been getting. Is there any plans to link customers to the Pool Trader app? Because the app is not for customers. It's for us. This is for us to work together. But that's a good question. And without going into too much detail, I can tell you I am working on something to do exactly that. I am working on generating specific customer referrals, if you will, and linking my customers on the Pool Trader app with customers that are looking for service in a certain area. It's in its testing phases. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I am trying. I'm doing numerous things behind the scenes, not only to continue to help all of you guys, but also the number one question I get, as I already mentioned, how am I making money? Right now, I can tell you, I'm not really making money. Again, we just hit the 1-year anniversary. This has been proof of concept. This has been testing. And now I know it for a certainty. This thing is real. There are real results. People are giving me feedback. And the next phase of this is, okay, who am I bringing in as partners? It is not a mistake. It is by design. Everybody that already has the app, it is no mistake that you do not see ridiculous ads that have nothing to do with pools, weight loss pills, whatever, you know, I don't know, local grocery stores or video games or whatever the case might be. That is by design. I have blocked that, and that could be a source of revenue for me. But this is a free app, and everybody overwhelmingly has been so positive and given me good feedback. I don't want to irritate you guys at all. I look at the app with maybe the biggest eyes of criticism, my own. And I don't want to be bombarded with ads. Nobody does. But it does have to make money. And I am looking to make partners that want to support the idea and people that offer a real product or a service to our industry. So who, you know, obviously we've got the big manufacturers, all of us know the names, which I've reached out to, patiently waiting to hear back. That being said, all you vendors that are watching, if you would like to advertise on the Pool Trader app, become a partner, please reach out to me. that would be phenomenal. At the moment, I am trying to look for exclusive relationships. I don't necessarily want people to be competing with one another that maybe produce the same or a very similar product. But at the end of the day, as pool pros, we choose what we choose, right? We know what we like. And so all of these things are part of the workings behind the scenes. And that is how I'm looking to generate money. Partnerships with offers, sometimes exclusive, as far as maybe a rate or a percentage off a product. I'm in the midst of closing a deal right now with someone that it is an exclusive offer just through Pool Trader. And when that's all finalized and launched, of course, I'll mention that on my Instagram, Facebook, all of that, let you guys know. That's what I'm looking for. So everybody using the app is obviously getting the benefit of, this is cool, it's free. I'm able to tighten my route or advertise to my fellow techs, maybe get free leads. But now, man, this guy Joe that created the app, he's trying to put together exclusive deals and partnerships to give us even more discounts. That's what I'm trying to do. So just so you guys know a little bit of the behind the scenes, that's what's going on there. And there is an update coming for the app, which will now have a featured main screen. So when the app first launches, I can now manipulate, and that very first screen can say brought to you by, and whoever the entity might be. And then that's ad space. There's also going to be a banner that rotates with all the different offers. As I showed you on the app, the one section that says special offers, if you can see that, special offers, that's just a tab that you'll be able to click on at any time and see who has linked themselves with the Pool Trader app. What are these different companies offering? You know, special offers at the very least. I'm sure they're not going to be all exclusive, but, and that being said, being that it's a free app, and I'm sincerely trying to help everybody, you can purchase a lot of different products through a lot of different gateways. And I'm hoping that because I haven't started a patron page or things like that, which people have encouraged me to do, and it's a good idea, you know, people that want to willingly show their support and make sure that this thing is successful. I'm trying to avoid all of that for the most part. I don't sell any swag. I don't have hats or t-shirts. If you want that, you can always reach out to me, and who knows, I might change my mind, but I'm trying not to do those type of things personally at this moment. And hey, if all you guys, if that's what you want, I mean, it would be silly of me to not do those things. But at the moment, I'm just trying to keep it very simple and streamline it and make everybody the greatest possible way to be successful. Use the app and yeah, just truly be successful. If anybody has any questions, I'm watching the comment section. Please feel free to ask away. The next thing, as you can see behind me, if any of you were at the Desert Pool and Spa show, that was my first and only appearance at a trade show. This is number 2. Thank you, Rudy. This cost a lot less than a booth. That's awesome. like $1,000 less. So that's party on there, brother. This is part of the artwork that I had printed up. This is the old version of the app. You see Florida, Arizona, California, numerous listings. The app has changed just slightly in the beginning stages. With my first developer and the first program I was using, there's not another way to say it. The app was a little hokey, and I know that. But any of you that have had a little complaint or it doesn't look quite right, believe me, I know. I've seen it, and that's why I've been working to make it better and better. The new version, my new developer, awesome. I mean, it's very responsive. It's quick, almost zero bug glitches or anything like that, and it's very cool. I've gotten a lot of compliments on how clean it is, easy to use. So that's that's been really cool. But yeah, the pins were the only change from the previous artwork to now. The service offered went from purple to blue. And what that means is, I apologize, I skipped around a little bit. I'm nervous if you can't tell. I keep wiping my upper lip. I'm sweating. So I don't know why I'm nervous. You're just my peers. I got a free product. What do I have to lose? I don't know. Or maybe I'm fighting the air conditioner in record temperatures here in Phoenix. But anyway, explaining that the dots, the pins on the map. I'll start again. Wanted, I already talked about that. A tech that wants pools in a certain area. I've seen others use the wanted tab that are looking to hire somebody. You can use that as well. It's the description and the details are all up to you. For sale is exactly that. You can sell one pool. You can sell your entire company, 100 pools with your truck, your equipment, everything. And just to reiterate, this is free. I do not take any commission. A lot of people have asked me, oh, you get a piece of every sale, right? Nope. 100% no. This is just a meeting place. This is a virtual corkboard, if you will. I make nothing off of anybody. I promise you. So I'm just looking to solve a problem in the industry and a communication problem, really, and also offering a free means of doing it. Another thing, brokers, they offer a very valuable service, but a lot of people refuse to go through one, and there really wasn't another option. They don't want to pay the fees. They don't want to do that. Well, that's one of the main benefits of Pool Trader. There are no fees. There's no hidden agendas. There's nothing. Just trying to help guys buy, sell, and trade, do all that. Also, if you wanted to list a for sale, and this is another little detail that might change in the near future. People say, well, it's called Pool Trader. Where's the trade option? Well, at the moment, you guys probably understand even a little change like adding another dot or adding another color on a developmental stage, it costs money. So right now, when things start to really get going and picking up, and I can reinvest more money into it as need would dictate, I'll do that. Make it even easier. So, but if you list a for sale or a red pin, you simply just say in the details, looking to trade. I don't want to sell this, but this is where it's located, and then et cetera, all your details. So at the moment, there is not a trade option. Simply list that in the for sale section, or others have listed it in the wanted section saying, I want to trade this pool. That's fine too. So again, like I said, all of these little details and these idiosyncrasies within the app, I'm very aware of them. And trust me, I'm working at making this as simple as possible, and certainly not trying to irritate any of you guys. I want you to love it. I want this to be that tool that was given to you for free, that's in your bag whenever you need it. A lot of guys say, no, I'm all set. My route's dialed in. I don't need anything like this. Cool, but it's there. A free tool, a tool that you need at the right time is just that, invaluable. So you use it when you need it. And it might only be one time ever in your career, when you retire after 20, 30 years in the industry. Throw it up on Pool Trader. There's no lockout like a broker might tell you. You can't list it with anybody else. I just want you to sell it. I just want you to benefit. So there's no restrictions on that. The last color pin on the app, the blue app, service offered. This is for builders, remodelers, somebody that offers a specific service within the industry. Gate companies, safety gates, whatever you can think of. Somebody that only does heat pump or heater repairs. Anything like that, that would typically be the blue pin. You would list yourself. My name is Joe. I live in Fountain Hills, Arizona. I am a specialist at petting your dog when I come to look at your pool water. And I'm just being silly, but you get the drift. You can list whatever it is specifically that you do. And again, it's free. You're putting yourself on the map. we see all the time, especially in Facebook groups. Guys ask, "Hey, who's the local guru? Who do you guys recommend for a PebbleTech patch?" Ooh, that's a hot topic because it's hard to do, right? Those guys are artists, and Facebook is a great tool. A lot of times, guys will pop in there and say, call this guy, call that guy. Oh, I think he's in that area. You can do the same on Pool Trader. And if you don't have Facebook, obviously all of us do because we're using Facebook Live, but I'm hoping that even people that aren't really using or utilizing social media, I hope they use Pool Trader because it's a way you can still use the technology and get connected with everybody possible. So right now, again, I said we just had our 1-year anniversary, March 27th. We are it's over 1,200 users right now. In the very beginning, I was being fed some falsified numbers, and I thought I was a lot closer to 2,000 several months ago. Well, that was also involving the developer switch. So anyway, the real numbers are it's almost 1,200 users. I've got analytics that I see obviously from the Apple and the Google Play Store, which any vendors that are interested in that, as far as how many impressions, how many views are you getting, and all of that, I'm happy to share all of that information with you because it's from an advertising standpoint, views and who the app is getting in front of, how long they're staying on the app, those analytics makes it more valuable, right? So I paying attention to all of that, and I'm really looking forward to the near future. Right now, especially considering the pandemic that has swept the world, there might not be a better time to use the Pool Trader app. Not a lot of people aren't even going into the warehouses anymore to see the cork board. There's curbside pickup, things of that nature. So again, pooltrader.net is my website, gives a description of who I am, what the app is about, and it'll give you the links for the Apple and Android links that'll take you right to your relative store. So, and another question, is there a website version of this? Not at this time. It is strictly just an app. So on your phone, on your tablet, and that's how it works and it's utilized. Looks like there's only maybe a minute or two left. So if you have a question, please fire it out there. If you didn't get a chance to, again, you can contact me at info@pooltrader.net, or if you download the app, you can see contact us, and my phone number is on there. And many of you that are in here spoken to directly, that is my phone number, and I'm happy to answer any and all questions, and or just talk to you guys. And we can't meet in person, but I love meeting new people, through a phone call. I've never met Rudy. Again, Rudy, thank you so much for this. This has been awesome. It's been a lot of fun, and I've never met Rudy in person. Can't wait to one day. That'll be real nice. And Rudy has been a phenomenal supporter of the Pool Trader app, and I appreciate that. His website is one of the only sites that I'm advertised on, in all reality. So, yeah, when I talk about almost no advertising costs, Rudy is in some exclusive company right there. So again, yes, sir. Thank you very much, everybody watching. It was nice to be in front of you. It's my pleasure. I'm honored to be amongst the vendor list. I'm not a traditional vendor because I'm not selling anything, but I'm in some good company, and I acknowledge that and appreciate that. And I hope to solve this universal problem. Let's buy, sell, and trade accounts for free. Let's all lower our overhead. Let's tighten up our companies, especially right now when every dollar does count. And going forward, it has been my pleasure, guys. I do believe that my time is up. And my name is Joe Wilmot. I am the creator of the Pool Trader app. And it is my pleasure to have spoken with all you guys this morning. Have a great day. Take care.
Hey guys, I'm back again. bunch of different things going on are pretty cool. We saw Joe, we saw Jack, we saw Chris. Oh my goodness, what a great group so far. Next we have Doug with ESL coming up, Earth Science Laboratories, and he's going to talk to us about some of their product. And then we have a bunch of great folks following that as well. So keep in tune with our schedule. Right now I have, of course, a red Solo cup. It's not your normal red Solo cup. It's actually a smaller red Solo cup, but it is a red Solo cup nonetheless. I'm planning on, oops, if you can excuse me for a minute here. I want to show you guys something, because in what we do, a lot of the chemicals that we work with are incompatible with one another, and we don't always get a good picture of that. Now, we know the big ones, chlorine and acid, don't mix, of course, but you might not be aware that some of the things that we think are inert could also present a problem. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take, I get my measuring cups, I have a Ziploc bag. I'm going to cause a minor chemical reaction. Hopefully it doesn't blow up on me. It's happened once or twice. My wife frowns upon it when I explode in the back room, so in the spare bedroom. But in either case, I have my measuring cups. I have calcium chloride, which is the chemical that we would use to increase our water hardness. And then I have baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, the chemical that we would use to increase our total alkalinity. And these are two very common adjustments and two chemicals that are thought to be fairly inert. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take them and mix them together. And when I mix them together, you're really not going to see anything because there's no reaction between the two. But then I'm going to add water as a catalyst, and that will then start my chemical reaction. Why am I showing you this? Well, one, again, like I said, things that you don't think could be a problem can be. But if these two chemicals are actually added within a close proximity of one another to the pool, it can cause that same chemical reaction in the swimming pool. So we want to avoid that, because what we'll end up with is a big white cloudy mess. And I'll explain why. But first, measuring cups marked, one for each chemical. I'm going to take my calcium chloride. Oops. I'm going to get a quarter of a cup of that. Oops. And I'm going to mix that, or drop that into my Ziploc bag. Oops. There we go. I'm going to put that to the side. Put the cap back on because I don't want to spill it on the floor. And then I'm going to take a quarter of a cup of my baking soda. Oops. And again, the same thing. I'm just going to put that into the bag with my calcium chloride. Now, keep in mind, for those of you that use calcium hypochlorite, the inert ingredient in calcium hypochlorite is calcium chloride. So if you add that in close proximity to sodium bicarbonate or sodium carbonate, you can see a similar reaction. So I'm just going to close this up here, mix it up nice, so that way it can all blend together. Oops. And you can see there's no problem whatsoever. They are fairly inert, but like I said, water is going to serve as the catalyst. So I'm going to take my red Solo cup here because we are talking pools and that's our thing. Normally I use 80 milliliters of water, so this is going to be a bit less. I'm hoping we still see the same reaction. If not, I'll go back and I'll do it with my normal beaker. So I want to make sure that I don't spill any on the sides because I want to control the reaction. I don't want anything to react until I want it to, because I want a chance to get this bag closed back up. But what I'm going to do is, well, when I put this in here, which I'm going to do right now very carefully, and place that in the center, when I tip the water, my reaction will begin. And in my chemical reaction, we're going to produce 4 different things. Some of them you'll see, some of them you will not. So the first thing that you're going to see, or the first thing that I'll produce, is a little bit of water, which you won't notice because I've added water to the mix. You'll see, or you won't, there'll be a little bit of salt, which you also won't see. There'll be a bunch of calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate, we know what that is, right? That's what's going to cloud the water. It's basically sidewalk chalk, except you're going to create it in dust form throughout the entire pool. And depending upon the filter system, it could take days to weeks to actually filter out. The other thing you're going to see is a ton of carbon dioxide, and that's what I want to show you here. So I'm going to zip this closed almost all the way, and I'm going to squeeze out as much air as I can. Oops. For those of you that ever wondered what it was like in a Rudy class, okay, and when I seal this back up, oops, there we go. Now that should be completely sealed, and I got my excess air out. And like I said, the only thing I'm uncertain of right now, I've not tried it with this amount of water. It is a little bit less than I normally add, but we should still get an idea. But can you see the bag that all the air is squeezed out of it? Yes? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tilt that now, and hopefully start a chemical reaction. And I'm just gonna let that sit there. Aim it away from the bookshelves, just in case. And that's all CO2 that you guys are seeing right now filling that bag. Two chemicals that we refer to as inert, calcium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, mixed together with water as a catalyst, produces a little bit of salt, a little bit of water, calcium carbonate, which will cloud your pool white if those two things are added too closely together. And as you can see from my bag, it doesn't look like it's going to explode on us. You never know. We've had a few pop in the past, well, week actually. Russ and Chris, if you're listening, you were in the class and saw it. But anyway, a lot of CO2, carbon dioxide going on here. And hopefully you enjoyed that. Like I said, we have Doug coming up in the next 10 minutes with Earth Science Laboratories. So look forward to that, and I will chat with you all later.
Hello, everybody. Let's see what time it is here. Well, it's noon, so let's get started. I put together a little presentation on our product category here. Learned a little bit more about Earth Science Labs, and appreciate Rudy putting this on for us today. So first off, who is Earth Science Labs? And who am I? I am Doug McKenzie. I run the recreational water division for Earth Science Labs. Many of you may know me. At every trade show. I'm fairly active in the background on the Talking Pool site. We're sponsoring some of the prizes for the Ugly Pool contest that Rudy's putting on. And today we're going to do a drawing for some gift cards that we will talk about a little bit later. So first off, who is Earth Science Labs? Earth Science Labs has been around for about 30 years. We are a manufacturer. We manufacture some absolutely game-changing chemistries. We are probably in your daily life, and you may or may not know it. We treat the water that you eat and drink across the United States and the globe. We treat most of the acres in California on all your leafy vegetables. We do a lot of the water in the hot water climates. So if you live in big areas like Phoenix or LA or Florida, through Tampa and the Gulf Coast, New Orleans, we treat a lot of that drinking water. When it's mission critical, the people that need clean, clear water come to us for solutions. We're the only company in the world that has ever eradicated zebra mussels from a lake without completely torching the environment. So we are the worldwide leaders in the treatment and eradication of zebra mussels. But for our industry, you're probably most familiar with the name Pristine Blue if you're on the East Coast. That brand has been around for 30 years. About 4 years ago, we launched some specialty chemicals, Algae Shield and Metal Shield, and hopefully you're starting to see those products out there. We also launched NZ Pure along the way. Metal Shield's our newest product, and we'll talk about that today. So, you know, I used to be a service tech, and if customers' pools ever look like this, they would be pissed. So we're going to talk about things to do to keep your pools from ever getting to look like this. Consumers get frustrated with us as service pros if they come and you've done your job, but you've got algae growing. They start thinking that you haven't done your job, and you may or may not have done your job. So we're going to talk about why, when you think you've done your job, why these situations can happen. So a little education as we go along the way. It's not just a product pitch. So how does algae even grow if I maintain good chlorine residual and take care of my pools? Lots of things go into this. You know, phosphates, a lot of people say, you know, phosphates, if you eliminate those, you won't ever have algae. Not so much the case, because there's a lot of other nutrients and ways that algae can grow. I've been out to pools that were as green gets, or just packed with mustard algae, and there was no phosphates in the water, or a limited number of phosphates, yet the algae was still there. So you can get it from a lot of biofilm and the decay. Those will leach off nutrients that the algae will thrive on. Nitrogen in the water is another good source. So lots of things to do, not just one issue. So I've been up to many pools where the surface, you know, was years ago needed to be replaced. So it's just like a sponge, and it's a harbinger point for algae to grow. Salt cell issues. Your salt cell might have been shut down to a temperature or sensor issue, and you haven't been producing chlorine for a while. So all of these issues go into it. But on top of that, you get these chlorine residuals that will vary widely in a 7-day span. Could be environment, could be equipment. So these are things that will ruin your day. Plus, on top of that, mustard algae is fairly resistant to chlorine. So once you get that, you can cross-contaminate through other pools as well. So it's a real problem for us service pros. And once you get algae started, it is a little bit tougher to get through with just a normal regimen of chlorine. So you have to go the extra mile. So algae comes in several different flavors. You've got black, mustard, and green. Those are the three biggies. And there's some pictures of each of those three culprits for us. And we'll go through these. Green algae, you know, it starts off a little cloudy and it can get ugly pretty quick. But really, at the end of the day, that's the easiest of the algae to get rid of. Pretty wimpy. It's just a lot of customer anxiety. You know, I'm sure everybody remembers the Rio Olympics. That was all over the worldwide news, where the pool was sitting there, one pristinely clean and one just absolutely going the wrong direction. And that's bioload was really the issue there, and some filtration issues that I believe was the end culprit that they got to the bottom of. Oops. So mustard algae, this is a killer. It's easy to spread to your other pools if you don't treat your equipment right, and it's pretty tough. Sodium bromide, you know, when I was a service pro, I used to use it and it would make it go away. But then I added some other issues. We'll talk about that later as to what those problems can be. But it is common that once you get mustard algae in a pool, it usually will struggle with mustard algae for quite a little while until you get it completely eradicated. And it's not uncommon that it will just come back the next year, because there's some environmental issues where it'll drop those same contaminants in season after season. Black algae, cyanobacteria. Rudy's done an absolutely fantastic job on his website educating the industry about this. He's got several good documents that he has put together. So I recommend, if you're have not had an opportunity to read those, spend some time on Rudy's site and look at his work on black algae and cyanobacteria. But the big thing here is it's not really an algae, it is really a bacteria, and it gets into the pores of the pool and it puts up a protective layer that feeds itself as it goes along the way. So it becomes extremely hard to get out of the pool. You've got to disrupt the structure and get in and actually get to treatment of the black algae. A lot of people think that silver works better than black. There's no difference scientifically between copper or silver on black algae when you look at it under a microscope and see the kill times. Both will do a great job. One is dramatically more expensive than the other. So we have gone down the path of copper being the biocide of choice for black algae. We do a great job with that. So here is some obvious steps that you need to perform before adding an algicide, and sometimes these steps will get it knocked out, especially if it's just starting. Brush your pool, get the debris out of the pool. On seasonal startups or when you take over a pool. I've gone out and there's been turtles living in some of these pools. So get the pool in good shape, clean the filter, shock the shit out of that pool. Just get it going. Run that pump and filter nonstop. You're probably gonna have to brush it again. You probably have to clean the filter out again. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of labor. So let's take a look at some of the chemical treatment options that we have available in the industry. Quats, polyquats. This is what consumers see at Walmart. Typically that quat is a really cheap, inexpensive product. It says it kills algae, so customers are going to grab that. Service pros know that there's some other chemistries out there, but for those of you that have only used quats or polyquats and have been afraid to use a metal or some of the sodium bromide products, things like that, this will give you a good overview of it. And I recommend you go back and look at this later and read. If you want any of this, just drop me a private message and I'd be happy to get you this presentation for your review. Quats can foam. Some polyquats foam, some do not. Then the big thing people are unaware of is that these products, when I was Surf Pro, I assumed you put them in, they mix, and they were there. But if you look at what's happening in the water from a chemical standpoint, and you break it down and actually look at water, that product will stratify as it comes out of the jet. And it's either going to go up or it's going to go down. The real action happens when the water is moving. So through the filtration system, all these algicides really do a good job inside that filter, and depending on the product you're trying to kill, some will perform better than others. But the quats typically are going to go up or down, and polyquats have a tendency of dropping to the bottom, and the quats almost all go to the top. Not broad spectrum on the quats. They typically work real well on green. Some of the polyquats do a better job on some of the other algae, but they're really a dominant product for green algae. Again, the easiest type. They appear to be cheaper cost, but you do get what you pay for. Sodium bromide. I used the daylights out of that when I was in service. It gave a fast visual effect for my consumers. They wanted to see, something happening right away. But what I didn't understand early when I was doing service is that this creates a very high chlorine demand and gives you very little protection past the day you do it. So you have to go back and you have to get the chlorine residual back up, and this is added cost. It's an extra trip for you. It is a margin drain on your business. And while it gives you a very fast result, you have to look and see, is that result worth the added expense? Because the chemical cost, that is not very expensive. Your time and labor are your most expensive out there in the field. So you don't want to do anything that's making you go back to a pool. Plus, if you use it often, you're going to flip that pool to become a bromine pool. And bromine's not protected from the sunlight. And so you will end up having a pool that becomes a real problem for you quickly. So metal algicides. Metal algicides, most widely used multi-kill algicides out in the market. They are very effective against all types of algae. And we'll review each of the 3 metals that are typically out in the pool industry. Copper is the most common. It's cost-wise is one of the lower cost metal-based products out there. Silver, expensive, and 99% of the time is going to be the same result you're going to get with copper. The benefit of silver is more on the bacteria side standpoint, but you'll learn that some coppers can do that as well. Zinc, not very common out there. Saw some products out, they come and go. They are metal-based, far weaker than either copper or silver. They do not appear to stain because their stain is more clear or grayish when it happens. So it's a product that people who fear metals will go to because of the thought that it's not really staining. Use of metal-based products are going to give you a real high likelihood of stain for traditional algicides. And here is, seeing this in action, but you'll see as the product gets added into the beaker where that metal-based product goes. And you'll see it actually slosh around in that beaker. It's just sitting there on the bottom of the pool. So as you add shock, you get a pH shift and drop those metals off of the molecules, and they end up oxidizing in your pool. That's why you see that happen with metal-based products. Okay. All right, so now let's talk about Algae Shield. This is our product. Algae Shield kills and prevents all types of algae. There is not an algae that we have found in the pool that this product does not kill. We do give a guarantee with our product. This is a product that has had an algae-free guarantee since its inception. And it is a fantastic guarantee because if you're using it as a preventative, you physically cannot grow algae in that pool. And we'll talk about that. You treat as preventative 1 dose every 30 days. It's very easy product to use and very cost effective for protecting your service route from unnecessary callbacks. Guaranteed results. For those of you service guys in the north, it is a great winterizing product. You can put it in at the end of the season, turn your pump off, and it will work without the aid of the equipment. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. It's NSF 60. Like I said before, Algae Shield is far more than just an algicide in the pool business. We treat drinking water plants across the globe. We treat farmers' fields with natural chemistry, omni-grade vegetables get treated with our product. So this is safe stuff. Made proudly in America. We've got capacity that is just unbelievable. So we can supply the worldwide pool market plus most of the drinking water market with the plants we've got in place. Traditional chemistries. So you saw that video, you saw how that stuff went to the bottom. The reason for that is the way the chemistry was put together. By nature, metals are heavier than water, so they're going to fall to the bottom. The reason we put a chelate around the copper ions or silver ions or zinc ions is to keep those products from basically instantly oxidizing. But as you hold something protectively in the water, you also keep it from interacting with bacteria and algae. So the more heavily chelated a product is, the slower release it is. Also, the less biologically active a product becomes. Traditional chelates will solubilize that metal and get it held like a clamshell for better use. Consider armor around that ion, and the weaker ones will be more open and that ion is more likely to be biologically active, but it also, with that, comes with a higher degree of sustainability. So have you ever heard of triple chelated or quadruple chelated? That just means more layers of chelant that is around the ion that need to be knocked off or chemically interacted to make that ion biologically active. So how is ESL different? You know, it is a completely different method. This is something that we discovered. We hold copper ions on the outside of a ball, and they attach to the outside. Because of that, every copper ion that's in the water is biologically active from the second it goes into the water, which is completely different than the way anybody else does it. That attraction is very, very strong. The only things that seem to be stronger in water is bacteria and algae. They'll come along, and when they hit it, it's got a stronger attachment because the bacteria will see that as a nutrient or a food source, and they'll grab it, consume it, and once it's inside that alga or a bacteria cell, the cell starts to die. Now, traditional chelants, when a copper ion hits it, it lyses the cell wall and it spills the algae contents out onto the pool, putting more nutrients in the pool, making some blooms happen longer than they need to. The way we do it, we actually kill it from the inside out. The waste product is less food source, less immediate, and bacteria, essential bacteria, good bacteria will go and consume that and take it out of the water. So it's a great chemical process. And since it's not molecularly bounded by the inside, it is, like I said before, highly active in the water. So another neat thing about that is, since we can hold on the outside, if you remember back when we were kindergartners, we learned about magnets, and two magnets, two positives and positives will bounce apart from one another, and they will find exact equilibrium in the water. So it gets the same content everywhere. And here is our stuff in action. So as you're going to see when it goes into the water, this is some competitive chemistry. So, you know, straight down to the bottom, these were the two biggest chemistries currently in the pool market. They're labeled with about 76 different labels out there, depending where you're at. Lots of different names, lots of different flavors, but I'm sure you've seen one of those two chemistries come out of a bottle. And they slosh around, and they don't mix. I've waited over a year to see if they would ever mix, and they don't. You stir them up, they'll fall back and fall out of solution again. There's ours. It's light Gatorade blue, instantaneously went into the water. It's finding its equilibrium. And you'll see that instead of protecting the bottom, say 3% of that vessel, it's protecting 100%. So there's not an opportunity for algae to get ahead of you. Okay, so just a couple testimonials. You know, I'm sure everybody has a pool which gets a little green because the equipment isn't really designed right, or the pool isn't designed right. This was a customer that had that years after year after year, added algae shield, and it was a completely different summer for them. They never even had a hint of green. Lots of service techs, lots of stores that have used it, and it's a game changer for them all across the country. So it's a great thing. Lots of service pros that find it will never use anything else. I'll point out that the Pearson Pools there in Gainesville, when he was a friend of mine, and when I brought it into him, he absolutely would not even try our product because it had metal in it. To fast forward to today, and it's the only thing he recommends to his customers. And before, he would never have recommended a metal. What does this mean to trade professionals? Because that's really why you guys are here. Less callbacks. Callbacks are the worst thing on your business. You don't want to have to go because it's not making you money. It's insurance for high bioload events. For those of you who live in climates where you get the afternoon rains that blow out all your chlorine that you added in, or monsoon events or dust storm events, things that really blow in lots of junk, or you got a landscaper who is not your friend and drops a bunch of bioload in your pool. This can really protect you from that. And what does that mean to you? Happier customers, more referred business, less loss. So remember those consumer frustrations. We want to prevent that at all costs. So that's what we're here to help you with. Okay, Algae Shield completely mitigates that. Let's talk about Metal Shield. Metal Shield is another hot product. Big thing here is one of the very few products that's phosphate free out there that does anything against metal. And it is by far and away one of the easiest ones to use. It's one step, so you don't have to worry about getting the stain out of the surface of the pool and then sequestering it. It does it all in one bottle. It prevents and reduces scaling also in the bottle, and it's safe for all surfaces. Very, very easy to use, as you will see. So, as with any metal removing process, there are directions for use. Usually the process for chemical is chemical balance, multiple products. So like I said, you get something to get the stain out, then something to sequester, and lots of labor and time and visits. Metal Shield's no different. We've got a process, so let's talk about that. Our process. Normal operating chemical range, how you would normally want your pools. Just be in that, okay? You can be a little bit above, a little below. It's a pretty forgiving product. Take the lid off and pour that product in. Walk away and wait. It does take time. It's not a fast acting product. It's not something that's going to work right in front of your eyes. Typically, I have seen that happen, but those are pretty weak metal stains. Our product, I can consider it turtle versus the hare, and it's a turtle product, as I call it. It takes a little bit of time, but it works really well. It gives you fantastic results. Go cash those checks from that high margin service add-on, and you'll see referrals from really happy customers when you get that stain fixed. So here's some proof. Fiberglass pools after multiple ascorbic acid treatments and sequestrants, it kept coming back. Stain was chronic. Here's that pool, and what we did was document sort of what it took. This was a really tough one because it had a heavy scale load on it. Beside the visual stains, we did an initial dose. This was one of the few. It actually took a second dose to get that stain completely unlocked, because there's sort of a saturation point when you get all the seats at the bar filled up. You get to add some more seats. We put more chemistry in. But we're 10 months free on that product without any stains returning. And all we did past getting the stain lifted was use the maintenance dose, which is 3 ounces per 10,000 gallons. Iron staining, no problem. There's that same pool 2 weeks later. Here's a testimonial from Mark, or from one of Mark's customers. Mark's our South and West regional manager for Earth Science Labs. But basically, it's a customer out of Corpus Christi. They had a chronic stain. They tried many other metal removers, and the stain just never really completely got out. It just kept coming back. He knew it was a copper stain, so he used it sort of as a disbeliever. He sent Mark a text 3 weeks later, and he says, that stain's gone. Where can I buy more? Enzypure. Enzypure is a product that people get pretty excited about because it's not just another enzyme. It is a different enzyme. It is a pure batch enzyme, very, very concentrated. So if you've ever opened a bottle of enzymes, sometimes they look like water, and sometimes they look like maybe brownish water. Ours looks really like dark chocolate brown. It's very, very concentrated. The thing people get most excited about this product is the fact that it does remove CoA out of the water. It does it by naturally biodegrading it. The reason I was excited about the product and the reason we put it in the line in the first place was to remove oil. It is the single best oil remover I've ever seen. It removes that heavy scum line along the water that's real tough to deal with. It does it very, very well. It extends filter life and reduces how often you have to backwash or break down a filter and clean it. And in the fall, one of the things we learned is if you put it in a fall cleaning, you didn't really quite get everything out, it'll actually consume those small biodebris and pollen. Great in the climates where you get a lot of heavy tree pollen, and it does a really good job getting rid of that. So CYA removal, that's probably what you guys want to know more about. So with CYA removal, again, have the product in the normal range. I know that there's some other CYA removal products out there, and you probably have tried them and they probably didn't live up to what you were hoping to have happen. I'm going to tell you, try this product because it has less limitations as to where it actually works. I've seen some of the other competitive products out there, and you have to be at an exact pH. You have to have 0 chlorine in the water. It has to be in a very tight temperature range. Ours, let's talk about what it takes. Normal operating chemical range. Water has to not be frozen. Okay, get it into a liquid form, and it goes up to 150 degrees. Anywhere in that time, in that temperature range, it does work. Where does it work best? Obviously something, north of the 70s, and it doesn't matter on the top, just not above 150. It'll work faster. Ideally chlorine at 2 ppm. However, it does start this chemical action up to 5 ppm. Above 5 ppm, you make the enzymes inert and they stop having the action. Typical results for removal is in a pool. If you had 100 CYA, you're going to remove 20 ppm in 7 to 10 days. So it does remove a good chunk. Once you get the product, the CYA level where you want it, using just the maintenance dose, which is much, much smaller, it will offset any gains you will get from the use of either a dichlor shock or a trichlor. If you're using both of those, you're going to need to up the maintenance dose to cover the addition of 2 sources of CYA, but it's going to offset 1 source of CYA. Plus, on top of that maintenance dose, you're getting all the benefits, the clean in place on the filter. You're getting phosphate control. It's not a great phosphate remover, but it doesn't let phosphates grow. And you get the fantastic oil removing properties, which is what this product was designed for in the first place. So good product. So summary benefit of who ESL is and what we bring to the table. Our products are very forgiving. Our products are broad base in treatment, and we provide consistent results. We don't put a product out that isn't really one of the best in class chemistries. I have no interest in having something that's just a Me Too product. It really is a good product if we have our name on it. Superior performance in underperforming pools. Algae Shield, I don't know if I talked about that or not. It does not need the pump or equipment to be working. A couple of years ago when we were first introducing that product, we had a few pools in Las Vegas and in Phoenix, Arizona in the heat of the summer that stayed 5 weeks completely clear. I'm not saying, I am not making any claim that those pools were safe to swim in, but they were completely clear. There was no pump, there was no electricity, there was no water movement whatsoever, but nothing grew in that pool. No bacteria, no algae. Okay. Easy. Our stuff is so easy. We don't have a lot of rules with it, and it's very, 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 very forgiving. So we improve your consumer's satisfaction with you because of the results we give you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So let's talk about those prizes. We're going to give away some gift cards. We will be taking comments on Facebook if you've watched this up until noon next Friday, 5/8. We will draw 3 random names after that. One will be for a $50 prize, one for a $100 prize, and one for a $150 prize. And if you would like to try these absolutely fantastic products, just give me a PM and we will get samples hooked up with you. We've got rep firms across the country and we've got distributors across the country are stocking our products. So some branches harder to get from others, but we can get this product to you. So if you want to try it, we'd love to get it in your hands. We'd love you to become a customer of Earth Science Labs. Thank you.
Rudy has given me the green light. So cheers. My name is Eric Knight with Orenda. Thank you for having me on, not just to Rudy, but to all of you who are watching and who will be watching this when it is not live. I want to talk about something that seems to be A very controversial and contrarian thing that has just come out recently. And in reality, it was actually published back in 2011, but I guess nobody really comprehended it, or that's not the right word. I think the study just got ignored. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of open-mindedness to take a new concept, especially in pool chemistry, and apply it to your habits. And I get that. One thing I will say is we didn't believe it at first. And what we're going to be talking about today is the physics of pH and what it actually is and how it moves. Because we at Orenda, I was never a pool guy. So full disclosure, I don't have a lot of experience being in the backyard doing the cleanings. But those of us in the company do. And they didn't believe it either. And then we started applying what the research was saying and putting it into actual practice and putting it into pools. And we were blown away that, wow, pH actually does respond really predictably and controllably when you don't fight it. And if you do fight it, like so many of us do in this pool industry, it's going to fight back. It's going to be an evasive rabbit. This pH will just bounce, and you're going to spend a lot of time, stress, and money on acid, probably a lot more than you need, and time based on how much time you're going to be spending in the backyard pool and repeat visits. And you're also going to be buying a lot more sodium bicarb or soda ash to kind of rein that pH back in. So it's 2 o'clock. And if you're going to write anything down, write this down. Do not try to control pH. Okay? Controlling pH is not really possible in pool chemistry. You could try. I mean, you're going to be throwing a lot of money and a lot of time into it, but you're never really going to nail down pH. And the reason for that is pH is a logarithmic equilibrium, and it bounces, it adapts. And the way I like to describe it, and if there's any chemists on here, they may say, oh, Eric, that's not a perfect description. Well, the way I like to describe this is pH is reactionary. It is going to do what it wants to do. In that sense, it's very predictable. But if you derail it from doing what it wants to do, it's going to fight back. It's going to bounce. It's going to reverberate like a rubber band. And most of the problems that we at Orenda see around the country are results of abusing acid and chasing pH. And those two kind of go hand in hand. So a few weeks ago, if you go on the Orenda Facebook page, you can go back and look. We did a Facebook Live webinar where I went through the 6 bad habits that are totally free to change, and they're costing you a lot of money and stress right now. The top 2 habits were chasing pH and abusing acid. And so what I'm trying to explain here is, where is pH trying to go, and what is it, and how can we possibly predict what it is? So I'm not sure, excuse me. I'm not sure I can share my screen because I'm doing this directly on Facebook. I couldn't get Zoom to work as easily, but pH is a scale of 0 to 14, and every whole number is 10 times different than the whole number higher or lower. So 0 to 14, 0 to 1 is extremely acidic. It's the most acidic. And muriatic acid is actually about half of 1. So it's about as extremely acidic as acid can get. And that means it's got a lot of hydrogen attached to it. And then on the opposite end, sodium hydroxide is 13.5, which is almost 14. That is the polar opposite of the pH scale. Now, every whole number being 10x kind of gets lost. People don't really, myself included when I learned it, by the way, people don't really comprehend just how big of a deal that is. So I got a visual for you. If you had 14 dominoes, okay, just those little dominoes that you play with about 1 inch wide on your table, and you line them up, and right in the middle is the number 7. So the number 7 is 1 inch wide. Now, in order to have a pH scale that is actually to scale, to give you a comprehension of how big this is, I'm going to pull out my calculator and we're going to do some math. The number 7 is 1 inch wide. The number 8 is 10 times wider than the number 7. That would be 10 inches wide. The number 9 is 100 inches wide because it's 10 times 10. Okay. The number 10 would be 10 times 100, which is 1,000 inches wide. So let me see here. I've got this converter app on my phone, and we're going to go to 1,000 inches. That is 84 feet, almost 84 feet. Now we're going to go to 10,000 inches. Now it's 833 feet. Add another 0. Now we're talking about 1.57 miles. So we went from 7, which was an inch wide, and now I think we're up to 12, which is 1.57 miles wide. And then 10 times that, it's 15 miles, which would be 13. And at 14 pH, it's 157 miles wide. Now think about where you are in your home and think that the number 14 to be proportional on the pH scale compared to that 1 inch number 7 domino that you have, that number 14 is 157, almost 158 miles wide, not 1 inch. So it really gets out of hand fast. Fortunately, we try to keep our pool chemistry in the 7s, right? 7.2 to 7.8 is the range that most textbooks give, ideally 7.4 to 7.6. And that would be great. Absolutely fantastic if water wanted to be there. But that's not where water wants to be. That's where we want water to be because the textbooks tell us that that's the ideal. Now, I was a competitive swimmer, and one of the big, I'm going to call it a myth. This is my opinion. This is not Orenda's opinion. This is my opinion as a swimmer. One of the big myths is that we have to have pH 7.4 to 7.6 because that is the pH of your eyeball, and that is all about bather comfort. Well, I don't know who watching this has put in more time in swimming pools than I have. Perhaps you're on here, but I don't know how many thousands of hours I've been in swimming pools. And I will tell you, the thing that irritates eyes is disinfection byproducts like chloramines, trihalomethanes, and things like that. Chlorine itself can irritate your eyes. pH, I've been in 6.5 pH water. I know that because I was in Italy, and that's what we were, well, anyway, that's what we were told it was. Didn't bother me. Didn't bother my eyes. And most of us wear goggles anyway. Didn't irritate my skin. But then I was in a 7.4 pH pool that was really poorly maintained, had a very high chlorine level and a very high combined chlorine level, and it was so bad. Skin was itching, eyes were burning, horrible. So I think the bather comfort thing is not so much about pH. And so what recently came out here was this study, and a lot of you watching this probably heard about it, that in the presence of cyanuric acid, the pH no longer controls the strength of chlorine. Now, no doubt, without cyanuric acid, so say an indoor pool, for example, the pH directly impacts the percentage of the strong hypochlorous acid, which is the strong chlorine. The opposite of that equilibrium is the hypochlorite ion, the OCl negative. That's the weak chlorine, over 100 times slower and weaker. So the lower the pH, the higher the percentage of the strong chlorine, therefore, the better your chlorine performs. Not disputing it. Okay, it's a 50-50 at about 7.5-ish, half and half. Okay, so if you're 7.4, even better. 7.2, fantastic. All of that goes out the window when cyanuric acid comes into play. I will repeat that. All of that, meaning the pH controlling the percentage of hypochlorous acid, which is how we define the strength of chlorine, goes out the window in the presence of cyanuric acid. The difference of percentage of HOCl, which is what we're talking about, is the strength of chlorine. When you have cyanuric acid in your pool, it plummets At 7.5, I mean, it plummets from 50% down to below 3%. And you should see it, I can't even speak. You should see the chart. We have it on our website. It's also available online on other websites. It's not our chart. If you look up the CMAHC, CMAHC, that's the Council for the Model Aquatic Health Code from the CDC. You can look at these charts. They're available, public information. Look at the percentage of HOCl, and you will see that red line plummets to the bottom. And what's crazy about that is you look and think, wow, if that's true, I must have no strength of chlorine. And that's not actually true. When you look at that chart, there's a blue line at the top, which is isocyanurates, which is chlorine that's already bound to CYA. That chlorine is a lot slower, but it's not HOCl at that time. Not at the moment. It's bound to CYA. So it's not a free hypochlorous acid. So the point I'm trying to make here is the strength of chlorine. And by the way, we're not making this up. Look at the research. There's a bunch of different publications that are saying this. The strength of chlorine is not directly impacted by pH anymore. And gosh, when we start telling people that, we get a lot of fire back from people saying, no, it has to be. A simple Google search will tell you that. CYA, cyanuric acid, it controls the strength of chlorine in your pool more than you know. And so what really matters is not necessarily the pH in terms of chlorine strength, okay? pH is absolutely imperative for the LSI and the saturation index, the balance of your water, always important. But you can have a higher pH. You can have an 8.0 pH and have pretty much the exact same strength of chlorine as a 7.0 pH with cyanuric acid in your pool. Now, if you're listening to this and you want to challenge it, please, I welcome. I've got 20 minutes of presentation. Comment in the links below, and I'll address what your questions are. And I'm not afraid to tell you if I don't know the answer. But what's really going on is CYA is taking over that role because it is binding to so much of your chlorine. Now, the problem here is not the stabilization of chlorine. That's a good thing. I mean, stabilizing chlorine protects it from sunlight. Where the problem arises is when you overstabilize the pool. When you have too much CYA in your water, now the rate of kill, the rate of your chlorine's efficacy goes way down. And it actually becomes a real problem if you have too much CYA. So some of the results, I don't want to beat this dead horse, guys. All this information we have on our blog, we have links out to it, and we link out to the actual source information that's doing these studies, because God knows we're not scientists. All we're trying to do is distill this information and explain it. The point is, if we're trying to control pH, because we want our chlorine to be effective, you're going to lose that battle. You're fighting the wrong fight if you have stabilizer. I'm not talking about indoor pools here. Indoor pools, yes, pH absolutely controls the strength of your chlorine, no disagreement. If you have CYA in your pool, stop controlling pH for the purpose of pH control. Stop controlling pH for the purpose of chlorine strength, okay? Because it's not helping you. It does matter for LSI, no doubt. I would also argue, again, this is Eric Knight's opinion, the swimmer, not Orenda's opinion, okay? What I'm saying here is it's not about bather comfort either, okay? I've swum in a lot of different pH water. I've swum internationally. It's different in different countries, okay? That is not the driving factor of what irritates swimmers' skin, eyes, nose, mouth. It's chloramines and other byproducts that do that. You can get away with having an 8.0 pH. Now, it is not recommended. I'm not saying target 8.0. What I am saying is don't panic when you have it, okay? So the second part of this message, now that we have discovered, okay, pH isn't controlling the strength of chlorine, the second part of this message I want to say is, what is pH trying to do? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. I have a cup of water here. I've been sipping from it all day. Now, water in relation to air has a physical relationship. And everything about water, if you remember nothing else, everything about water is trying to reach equilibrium. Okay, this is what osmosis is. I don't know if you ever did the experiment in school with salt water versus fresh water, and you put an egg in there, and then, you know, in the salt water, the egg would shrivel up because the liquid inside the egg went into the salt water because it's trying to find equilibrium. And then in the fresh water, it filled up the egg because it was trying to find equilibrium. That's what osmosis is. The LSI, the saturation index of calcium, always trying to find equilibrium. If you have too much saturation of calcium, meaning a high LSI, you're going to get scale. And the only reason you're getting scale is because the water cannot hold any more calcium carbonate. It has to deposit it somewhere. So it's got to get rid of it. It's just trying to find its way back into equilibrium. On the low end, of course, is etching. If you have a vinyl liner pool, it's going to be fading. And by the way, when I say fading on a vinyl liner pool, I'm not talking about like that yellow tinge that the sun causes. I'm talking about the loss of pigment, like turning white, like losing color. And typically it's low in the pool. That is an LSI violation. You may notice that you'll have more fading in these pools or more etching in a cement finish, like a plaster, quartz, or pebble, around a trichlor floater. And people think, oh, chlorine did that. No. The pH of trichlor is 2.8, which creates a low LSI environment right around it. And the LSI right there, locally around that floater, is starving for calcium. Again, water's trying to reach equilibrium. So let's talk about physics for a second, not chemistry. Water is trying to equalize with the air above it. And for the purposes of this audience, let's talk about outdoor pools, okay? We are all breathing the same air when it comes down to it. Okay, I'm in North Carolina. If you're in California, we're all sharing the same atmosphere. And by and large, the percentage of gases in there, I think it's like 78% is nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and some rounding errors in between. A very small percentage of it is carbon dioxide because most of it gets consumed by trees and other plants. Whatever that percentage is, and I don't know what it is, a backyard pool is not going to make a blip of difference to it. I think we can all agree one backyard pool is not going to change the atmosphere that we all breathe. So it's pretty consistent what the percentage of carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere. Well, come to find out, and you can find this online. We didn't make up this statistic. When the carbon dioxide level in this water equalizes with the atmosphere above it, the pH of that water is 8.2. Let me translate that into English. Water is always trying to equalize with the air above it, specifically the gases of it. This is called Henry's law. Henry's law of differential pressures. There's another law called Boyle's law, which would be going the other way, which means gases are pushing into water. Don't worry, I'm not a PhD physicist, but basically when CO2 leaves the water and equalizes with the percentage in the air, your pH is going to be 8.2. That's the ceiling. Now, unless it's forced, okay? So we know that the pH cannot get over 8.2 on its own. But if you etch plaster and 12.6 calcium hydroxide comes out, that'll spike your pH over 8.2. If you overcorrect with acid, it sinks to the bottom and it etches, yeah. What about a startup? You get to the pool, pH is through the roof. We have to add acid, right? But the LSI was balanced. You just didn't like how it got there. So pH spikes. You add acid, you come back the next day of that startup, where's the pH? Spiked again. It's trying to equalize. Okay. The only way it gets over 8.2 is if you have alkalinity. Don't quote me on the exact number. I think it's alkalinity over 160. It can get slightly over 8.2, but by and large, in the chemistries we're dealing with, 8.2 is the ceiling. So let's talk about how pH gets to 8.2 faster. Now, remember, we were talking about pH being logarithmic, right? So if you had that 1 inch number 7, which is a domino with the number 7 on it, 7 is 1 inch wide, 8 is 10 inches wide. By the time you get to 11, it's 1.57 miles wide, right? and then 15.7 miles for 12. Maybe I'm off by that. No, yeah, 12, 13. And then by 14, it's 157 miles wide. Like imagine a domino goes from 1 inch to 157 miles. It's a logarithmic scale. Well, we haven't been corrected on this yet. So far, everyone we've talked to said, yes, that's right. But I have not found anything in writing that confirms this. But my understanding is the closer the pH gets to 8.2, the exponentially slower it rises. So again, somebody correct me if you're a physicist on this, but it actually proves itself in the field pretty regularly for our customers. Let's just say, I'm making up the times here, okay? Let's say it takes 1 second for your pH to naturally rise by the loss of CO2. It takes 1 second to go from 7.2 to 7.3. That means it would take 10 seconds to go to 7.4. 100 seconds to go to 7.5, which is a minute 40. 1,000 seconds to go to 7.6. By the time you get to 7.9, you're talking days. If you're not etching the pool, if you're not forcing it to go up. We're just talking about the natural rise of CO2 to equalize. So the closer it gets to 8.2, the slower it rises. This means that your pH is tremendously predictable as long as we don't overcorrect it and we don't panic when it rises up. If we know the ceiling is 8.2, okay, you're not doing anything wrong. There are some factors that can make it rise faster, but as far as we know, it's not going over 8.2 on its own. For instance, a salt cell. If you have a salt chlorine generator on your pool, the byproducts of that are higher pH, and it will rise the pH of that pool faster than a normal pool. That's normal. You're not doing anything wrong. Liquid chlorine will also temporarily rise the pH quite a bit, but in the aggregate over the course of the week, yes, it will raise the pH a little bit faster. Cal Hypo can as well. Trichlor typically doesn't because the pH of trichlor is low, unless it's in a floater and it's etching the wall or the step that it's floating above. That's a thing too. But when it comes to changing how fast the pH rises, you just have to take that into account no matter what pool you have. Okay, so if you have a salt pool, just understand it's going to rise just a little bit faster. But what about aeration? Because if you lose CO2 faster, your pH is going to rise faster. For instance, vanishing edge, like those beautiful infinity pools that just have the wall of water that just disappears. Well, that's aeration because it's going to flow down and it's going to bubble out CO2 faster. The most common type of spillover we see are from spas that go down a little bit of a waterfall into the pool. Aeration. So you're losing CO2 a little bit faster on those pools, or if the spa jets are running for a long time. All of that is fine. It's very predictable. You're not doing anything wrong. The ceiling is still 8.2. Things that can bring it over 8.2. Recently, we were doing a green pool cleanup, and I got this. I don't think I have it here. Unfortunately, it's in my truck. Got this pH wand, a digital wand, and the pool is just a swamp green pool, right? We put this pH wand in there, and it's 10.3 pH. I was stunned because, on a Taylor kit, for example, or a test strip or something like that, it's just not readable. It's just Barney purple, right? It's too high to read. You don't know what it is. This said 10.3. And I thought, how on earth could the pH of this water get so high over 8.2? And then it hit me. Algae consumes CO2. That's one of the nutrients it needs. It's a plant. So it consumes carbon dioxide, takes it out of solution, and hey, the water lost CO2 just like it would lose CO2 equalizing with the air, pH goes up. Algae consumed so much CO2 that the pH was sky high, 10.3. So CO2 and hydrogen, it's all about how you control it. Sorry, it's all about how you predict it, not control it. So my message to you today, and again, Rudy, thank you for having this event on. My message to you today is don't try to control pH, because as soon as you set it somewhere that you want it, usually 7.4, 7.5, or 7.6, I mean, if you overcorrected that, or if you just put it there, it's not going to stay there very long anyway. It's always trying to rise. So instead, a better strategy as a pool professional is actually to contain it. Okay, if you know that let's see, am I backwards? Yeah. Okay, this is the high end. If you know that the ceiling is 8.2, find what it's going to take to set it every week. All right, and use the LSI as your floor, i.e. calcium hardness and a basis of alkalinity. Probably, most areas 300 something calcium is fine. If your pool freezes, 400 plus is what we recommend. But now you have a floor and you have a ceiling, okay? Every time, just make sure you don't overcorrect. Drop the pH maybe to 7.6, not 7.2, right? Maybe to 7.7 even. Live dangerously, it's okay, I won't judge. What you have to do is you have to make sure that every number in that area actually does not put you out of LSI balance. And keep in mind, if you do it right, it's not actually going to get up to 8.2 in a week. It's not, unless you overcorrected, pulled out something like calcium hydroxide and gave it a head start, and it forced its way over 8.2. That's when you start seeing real scale problems. Most of the customers that we have that are following this, they just set it every week to 7.6 or 7.7. And they are predicting that it's going to be about 8 when they come back. Well, now you've contained it. I liken this to the difference between trying to chase a rabbit in an open field. Good luck. If you've ever seen the movie Snatch, where they release the dog to try to catch the rabbit, right? Rabbits are super evasive. But what if you could put that rabbit in a bedroom? You probably have a better chance, right? Who cares if the rabbit's running if it's contained in a bedroom? It's not really going anywhere. But it can still move, right? So that's what we want to do with pH. We want to contain it. We want to predict. We're going to set it here every week because of physics. It's going to rise. It's going to get slower and slower and slower. And by the time you come back, it's going to be about 8, maybe 7, 9, and then just reset it every week. Now, this is going to take a few weeks for you to get accustomed to how much alkalinity that burns up, and you will have to replenish alkalinity, but you're not going to have to do it every week. Maybe every month, maybe every 6 weeks. It just depends on where your calcium hardness is and how you're leveraging the LSI. You can use our app. It's free. It's Orenda. Most of you already have it, I think. But you can use that app to figure out what your parameters can be. And if you need help with this, contact us. We'll help you, walk you through it. We do it all the time. Most of what we do at Orenda is kind of help people figure out how to be more profitable in their business. This is one of those things that if you can stop fighting acid and chasing pH, your job as a pool professional is going to become so much easier and so much simpler because the water will behave. We're no longer trying to force pH to do something it physically doesn't want to do. It physically does not want to stay 7.4 to 7.6. We seem to want it for bather comfort reasons, which I call BS on, just being honest. As a swimmer, my opinion, I don't buy that argument at all. And then there's the legitimate chlorine strength argument, but that argument goes out the window if there's cyanuric acid present. So I only have 3 more minutes here. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, put them in the messages, tag me in it, just like put the little @ symbol, Eric Knight. If I miss it today, I can see it as you comment later on, maybe tomorrow or the next day, and then I'll do my best to respond to it. But my final thoughts here are don't try to control pH, just try to contain it and understand that it's okay to have a pH that rises up to a ceiling of 8.2. If it gets over 8.2, you're going to have scale problems because at 8.2, I think it's at 8.21 to 8.3 is when bicarbonate ions start converting to carbonate, and that's when you start getting calcium carbonate. So I hope this helps. It's okay to have a higher pH if you have CYA present. And let's see, all right, I see some comments here. Michael, I would love to challenge you, but you're right. I love you. Thank you. Well, I'm not right. I'm just relaying information. I did not do any of this research. I just read what the actual people who did the studies did. Carl, thank you. Robert, I lower my CYA. I seem to have less algae. Yes, if you lower your CYA and keep it to a minimum, you probably will have less algae problems because the CYA to free chlorine ratio is what's going to control the strength of your chlorine. If you have too much CYA, yeah, you're going to have some problems trying to stay ahead of algae. That 7.5% reduction factor means, for easy math, if you had 100 parts per million CYA, to stay ahead of algae, you have to have 7.5% of your CYA. If you have 100, that means 7.5 parts per million free chlorine is your new baseline to stay ahead of algae, unless you remove phosphates regularly. So two great things to help prevent algae is to minimize your CYA and to stay ahead of the nutrients. Terry, thank you. I really appreciate it. Gregory, I hope this does make sense. I know, guys, I know this is really contrarian. I'm fully aware of it, but guess what? So is the LSI. That was contrarian too, and it seems to be working out. So far, we've been getting great reviews from the field that this does work. You just got to try to accommodate what water wants to do instead of fighting it. Thank you, Robert. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point. You say, I didn't realize I'm overusing acid. Most people are. I asked this question nationwide. How much acid does it take to lower the pH in a 20,000 gallon pool from 8.0 to 7.5? Almost everyone says half a gallon. It's actually about a quart. And if you're doubling the amount of acid, number one, you're spending twice as much on acid. Number two, you're overcorrecting big time. That takes your pH from 8.0 down to about 6.7 to 6.8. That's a huge difference on the LSI. And now you're going to etch, you're going to pull out, you're going to dissolve calcium carbonate, you're going to pull out hydroxide potentially, spike the pH. It's a mess and a half. Gregory says CYA is recommended to be 80 parts per million with salt system. I would say, yeah, that is too high. And I think a lot of those manufacturers that have talked to us and invited us to do trainings with them, I don't know if they're watching here today. I think they're going to be modifying that. I think 50 is, well, I don't think. 50 is the maximum that Orenda recommends from a overstabilization standpoint. 30 is the mathematical ideal in our opinion. But that's our opinion, right? Like everyone's entitled to their opinion. We find that to be the optimal CYA level, but you can go as high as 50. You just need some more free chlorine. But yeah, you don't need 80 to get salt systems protected from sunlight. Most of what happens when you have that extra CYA, or I'm sorry, when you have less CYA, people say, oh, I can't hold chlorine. It's not the sun that's getting rid of it. Okay, if you have 30 parts per million, 98% of it is covered anyway. What's happening is your chlorine is more effective, so it's oxidizing faster and therefore getting used up. So anyway, I think that's my time. Rudy, if you want to, yeah, Greg, yeah, there you go, 30 to 40, outstanding. That's a great number. Rudy, if you want to chime in here, I think that's my time. Am I supposed to just end this? Guys, just tag me, Eric Knight, or tag Orenda so we can respond to your questions if you have any. Thank you so much. I did not want to come on here and talk about products because that's not really what we like talking about anyway. We want to try to add value to you in the field and help you be better at what you're doing and try to help comprehend some things that are pretty new to the industry and very contrarian to the textbooks. So waiting on you, Rudy. If you want to end this, let me know. Any other questions while I'm hanging out? I'm happy to have it. That delicious CO2 losing water. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe during this pandemic. Again, tag if you have any questions or contact us directly. Cheers.
Hi. So I just wanted to pop in here really quick and say I think that this virtual trade show is a super great idea. I'm kind of jealous that I'm stuck working. Here's my pool I'm cleaning. Whee! Look at all those, oh, well, there were boats out there, yes. Anyway, not much to say. Just wanted to pop in. Anyone wants to send me some pens, let me know. And whatever, I don't know. Have a good day. Bye.
According to my audio, it's working. So it's about 1 o'clock here, Eastern time, in sunny Florida. It's about, I don't know, probably 85 degrees out right now. It's about, it's just about 1 o'clock. So, not going to really go over any specific products today. However, I am happy to answer just about any question you have regarding Hayward. If I don't have the answer, I'll certainly get the answer to you. If I'm not able to answer the question, then I'll respectfully decline. But I'm really going to touch mostly on a rather exciting policy change that we instituted in 2019 that not everyone has heard about. That is the internet policy that we introduced, and it's a significant policy. It's a significant change for Hayward, and it's in probably about its fourth or fifth month. And prior to coming on and making this presentation, I went through and checked on some pricing to make sure I'm not going to be lying to you. And it appears as though what we're doing is working great. Little backstory on Hayward. So Hayward is about a 54-year-old company that was started in Brooklyn, New York. It was originally a jobber factory. They would mold metal components for other manufacturers and then transitioned into a manufacturer on their own. The Davis family bought Hayward about 50 years ago. And we, up until just a couple of years ago, were privately owned. We were probably one of the largest privately owned manufacturers in the country. The Davis family transitioned from ownership. It's now been about probably 2.5, 3 years. We are owned by private equity. I think one of the most significant things about Hayward is that we are American owned, and we do have 4 American US-based manufacturing facilities. We manufacture about 95% of our in-ground pool products in America. And that's something I'm very proud of. And the employees at our facilities are extremely proud of also. We've got about 1 million square feet in Clemens, North Carolina. That's distribution and manufacturing. We've got a manufacturing facility in Rhode Island, and then we also have a manufacturing facility in Nashville, Tennessee. We still do have a location in Pomona, California. We are wrapping up business in Pomona, California, and we'll shift our West Coast call center and customer service operations into a location in Arizona. The majority of Pomona manufacturing has been shifted over to Clemens, North Carolina. So that's a little bit of the meat and potatoes of Hayward, if you will. Again, what I really want to touch on is our internet policy. So a little bit of the backstory behind it. When Hayward sold, the new ownership group and the new president of Hayward, the pool division, we're looking at ways where we potentially have waste. And believe it or not, one of those areas was related to selling product on the internet. What we discovered is that a product that's sold on the internet actually costs Hayward about 15% more than a product that is sold by one of our, what we'll refer to as brick and mortar partners. So we're gonna think of brick and mortar as retail, pool builders, pool service companies, anyone along that line. So what we did, our first step was to change the warranty that we were offering on our expert line products. And believe it or not, that change took place in February of 2019. So what we did at that point is we introduced an expert line specific warranty, where the products that were included in our expert line program at that time received a 3-year part, 3-year labor warranty with some exceptions. Pool cleaners are a little bit less, but we do have a couple of products, being our 950 variable speed pump and our 940 salt system, are actually 4-year part, 4-year labor. So we originally had the intention of rolling out our new expert line policy earlier than we did. We had a little bit of pushback from our distribution partners because they had bought SKUs to support our interneters. And we went ahead and we stepped back and said, okay, we understand that you guys don't want to get stuck with a glutton of SKUs. So we pushed the policy back to October of 2019. At that time, we created what we now refer to as open line SKUs. Those open line SKUs are whole goods that are allowed to be sold online. And a couple of differences on our open line SKUs. They have a prefix of W3. So if you're ever at your distributor and you leave with a W3 product, I would suggest immediately turning around and bringing that back and swapping it out for what we're going to refer to as the expert line equivalent. Main reason being is because many of our open line SKUs cost our distributors as much as 15% more. And they also have a 1-year part only warranty. So basically, anything that you see currently advertised online is a 1-year warranty only, and it's designed to cost that reseller more. The brick and mortar offering that we have, we refer to as Expert Line. So Expert Line basically expanded from about 40 or 50 SKUs to 900 SKUs. Not every Expert Line product has an open line equivalent. As a matter of fact, you're looking at less than 10% of the 900 SKUs that are Expert Line are actually authorized to be resold online. So all of our Expert Line SKUs, with some exceptions, do have that 3-year part, 3-year labor warranty. Those exceptions are the TriStar 950 variable speed pump and the Aquarite 940 and 925 salt systems. Those have 4-year part, 4-year labor warranties. And then our some pool cleaners, the majority of the pool cleaners are less, right around the 2-year mark. It's extremely important that if you're going to sell an expert line item and offer that extended warranty, you need to be part of a totally Hayward program. And we have, and I'll go over the Hayward programs at length, but you know, our servicer program is as few as three items. So it's real important that you reach out to your local Hayward sales manager and make sure that you are enrolled in the Totally Hayward program. As part of this new policy, we came out with an authorized reseller agreement. That reseller agreement must be executed by anyone that sells Hayward online. If they have not executed the agreement, they are in violation of the policy. The other part of that policy is if they are approved to resell Hayward, we have very specific mapping policies that they must follow. They cannot advertise items below a specific price, and they cannot advertise or sell expert line items on any of their e-commerce platforms. If they do, they're in violation, and we have very specific laid out means of enforcement for our authorized resellers. Now, no authorized reseller agreement is any good without a authorized or a newly executed distributor agreement. So in late 2019, early 2020, all of our distributor partners have signed new distributor agreements. Those distributors must comply with a list that we send to them on a monthly basis that covers who is authorized to sell and who they cannot sell to. Personally, I've been involved in a little bit of conversation back and forth with one of my distributor partners, and the policy is very straightforward. Our distributors cannot ship an expert line item in place of an open line item. And so therefore, only what we call W3 items can be shipped. So it's a rock solid policy that our reselling partners have embraced. It's also a policy that our distributors have embraced. So they are carrying basically two sets of SKUs for some of the same items. Those that can be sold online and those that cannot be sold online. The other thing we did was entered into an agreement with a third-party company that is in charge of policing our policy. It is actually a law firm. They assisted us in writing the policy. And they've made sure, based on previous court rulings and such, that Hayward's policy is enforceable and would stand up if we were challenged in a court of law. So a couple of things that this law firm looks out for. There are a lot of unknown interneters out there. If we are not able to identify an interneter, we will actually buy our own product from that interneter and basically run an investigation who sold it to them, which distributor sold it to them. It's pretty easy to tell by looking at the shipping label which distributor branch it came from. We then approached that distributor branch, asked them to voluntarily surrender the information, and we in turn let that interneter know that they are not authorized to be selling Hayward product. It's significant from the standpoint that this does not apply to whole goods only. You must be a authorized reseller even to sell our parts. So, even though the meat and potatoes of the program is focused around the whole good, not anybody can just become a parts reseller either. We have identified a list of what we refer to as the Dirty 30. So we know that there are the 30 most violated SKUs on the market. So we basically have gone and those are the 30 SKUs that we really concentrate on. A lot of super pumps, a lot of gas heat, a lot of salt, and we also do take violation notifications from our partners, our Totally Hayward partners. Once we do identify a company that is violated, they will receive an email notification from our e-commerce manager, Mike Glabowski. If If they choose not to play nice, Hayward also plays dirty to a degree. We will send a cease and desist letter to the resellers that are violating the agreement, or if you're not an authorized reseller, we will also send them a cease and desist letter. And this comes right from our attorney. The most recent round of letters went out in mid-April, and I can tell you they're complying. Just to give you a couple of examples here of what I looked at shortly before coming online. A couple of our real popular SKUs. So like the horse and a half super pump, I did not find anyone violating MAP. MAP on that is $519, and that's what it's selling for online. The other item that used to sell a lot was gas heaters. I did a search of our 400,000 BTU gas heater, and I did not see anybody reselling it for less than $26.99. And then our 110,000 BTU round heat pump, again, I didn't see anybody reselling it for less than the MAP price, which is $34.99. A couple of companies were actually above that, so that's good news. I mean, we've got a policy that our authorized resellers are respecting, and a policy that actually holds water. We are very serious about enforcing the policy through our distributor network, and there is enforcement means in place to make sure that they comply. So I mentioned that you have to be a member of a Totally Hayward program to offer our extended warranties. We have 3 programs, 3 standard programs. The first program is a Totally Hayward Servicer program. Again, that starts at as few as 3 units and goes up to 29 units. Once you sell your 30th unit, you're automatically put onto the Totally Hayward Partner Program, and that program goes from 30 units to 99 units. Once you reach your 100th unit, you're automatically put to the Totally Hayward Advantage Program. So what's the difference in each? Point value. So you may get 600 points on the Totally Hayward Servicer Program, and maybe 60 points on the Servicer Program and 100 points on the Partner Program. So that basically equates to dollars. That's 10 cents on the dollar. You're getting $6 on the Service Program. You're getting $10 on the regular Partner Program, and then our Advantage Program even gives you a little bit more. So basically, the more you buy, the more you sell, the more you get reimbursed. And then we also have co-op allowance that we dedicate to some of our partners, usually in the neighborhood of about $2,000. So if you sell if you advertise $4,000 and Hayward is the primary item, we're actually going to reimburse you for $2,000 of that. So good program. That's really my presentation. I've got 7 people online. If you guys have a pen, I've actually put my Hayward email in the comments section. So jseglum@hayward.com. If you send me an email with the subject of t-shirt in the subject line, include your company name, t-shirt size, I'm going to send you an Expert Line t-shirt. Again, please email that to me. Don't put it in the comments, because I don't think these comments will stick around. But at this time, I'm happy to address any questions you may have regarding Hayward, maybe where we've been, where we're going. We have some really exciting new products coming out in the not too distant future. And, you know, if we don't have a profile established for you in the Hayward database, it's really important that you reach out to your sales manager, go ahead and you get that profile created and make sure your email address is up to date, because anybody that has an email address on Hayward receives new product announcement, dealer rebate information, as well as consumer rebate information. The big consumer rebate that we got right now is up to $500 to a consumer. If they buy a variable speed pump plus 3 additional items, they get a $500 rebate. If they buy a variable speed pump plus 4 additional items, they get a $500 rebate, as well as a 5-year part and labor warranty on the items that we have designated that will qualify for that. We're not allowing salt cells or lighting, but the lighting would fall under the 3 and 3 totally Hayward warranty. I'm also going to go ahead and put my cell phone number on here. So if you have any questions that you don't want to ask in a group setting and feel as though you want to go ahead and present them to me direct, you can go ahead and Facebook message me, text me, or now you've also got my email address. So I'll go ahead and open it up to any questions you guys may have, and if any questions, go ahead and fire away. I've got the comment section up. I have no questions yet. Let me go over a little bit of new product that we've got coming out for anybody that's online that is one of our OmniLogic fans. We do have the Omni PL that may be hitting the end of this month, which is going to utilize the keypad that we used on the Omni Hub. So the keypad will be remote, and Josh, to address your question, I'm gonna reach out to you direct. $26.99. It really all depends on what you're buying it for from distribution. $26.99 still leaves a fair profit margin for you, and if you consider that, that gas heater is probably worth a $300 or $400 install, you're now at $29.99 to $30.99. I honestly don't see us leaving the internet. We have cut back on it considerably. But I'll reach out to you in a little bit more on pricing, and maybe even some try me programs that you can take advantage of. I don't have the pricing in front of me, but I want to say that you can get like a 400,000 BTU Hayward gas heater for about $12.99 on the try me program. What new products? So besides the Omni PL, we also have the inline version of Fin. That product is also currently being tested. We have a new gas heater that should be hitting, I would say, around December. And Josh, this is kind of going to go. Josh, this is going to kind of expand a little bit on where you're at, on what you're asking. The new gas heater that we have coming out is going to be an expert line item. It is not going to be available for sale online. The existing Universal H series is what we will keep as the line SKU. The big advantage to the new gas heater that's coming will be slightly higher efficiency, zero clearance. So the heater is actually going to be serviceable from the top of the heater. So we're able to go on a combustible surface, and then any clearances to would be based on the AGA, American Gas Code. We have the Aquavac 650, which is a product that is currently out on the market. It is a Wi-Fi enabled, basically no touch cleaner. It's a great product, no filters, no. You basically unlatch the canister, hit a single button, that trap door opens, and all of your debris comes out. Okay, I don't quite understand the question you're at. If you're referring to the $500 rebate program, that is a residential program only. We do not have any commercial SKUs that qualify for that program. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. New cleaners on the horizon. We do have and probably spilling the beans a little bit. We do have a wireless robotic cleaner. We'll leave it at that. There's a lot of exciting things at Hayward on the horizon. A lot of procedural changes. I mean, we used to rush to market with a lot of products, but our beta process is now extensive. We have shut down our manufacturing lines multiple times in 2019 to address quality issues that necessarily have a major impact on product getting out, but maybe procedural changes that would allow us to be more efficient. And if we do recognize issues, as salespeople, we have a direct access to properly report these quality issues. It's not just a matter of looking at warranty reports. A lot of times as salespeople, we hear it quicker before it hits a warranty report. So, any other questions? Josh, if you want to go ahead and send me a direct message, if you're still on, I'd like to talk to you about something else, maybe utilize you as one of for the new gas heater, because it's probably be super exciting. So, well, I don't see any questions. I'm going to go ahead and end the live video now. If you do have any questions, please reach out to me via email or my phone. But shoot me an email for I'll get you a t-shirt on. Again, make sure I got your shipping address as well as the size you need, and I'll get it out to you probably Tuesday. So listen, everybody, be safe. These are trying times, and I will tell you this. It's also an exciting time to be in the pool business. Ended Q1, March. We're well into Q2, and business is up, particularly in Florida. We've got plenty of product in our channel. We have not any of our manufacturing facilities to date. And we're excited about what the rest of the brings. And, happy selling, everyone. And please reach out to me if I can be of any assistance to any of you at all. So joining, and if for your information, look for your carriage in the mail here in the next couple days. Thanks.
The main reason he was adding the aluminum sulfate in that pool was because it was riddled with copper stains. So I just wanted to show you something. There's a reason why that works. So I do actually have some copper sulfate with me. I'm gonna add some here, just a bit, not a lot, into this vial. Oops. Hopefully I don't make a mess. A nice pretty blue color. Oops. Copper sulfate. And I'm going to try to take it out with aluminum. I'm going to remove the copper. I'm going to take this here and just crumble it up a little bit. Now, one of the things about aluminum foil is it does have a coating on it, so we're going to have to remove the coating. So, but let me plop this in here first and just get that down into there. And nothing really is happening right now because that coating that's on the aluminum foil is protecting it. So you're not seeing a lot of good stuff just yet. But we're going to scratch it up a little bit. So to scratch it up, I'm going to add some salt. And all that's going to do is just take a little bit of that coating off. Just add a little bit. And when I do this, what you should start to see happen is you should start to see the aluminum, start to react with the copper. Ultimately, what will happen is my aluminum will pull all the copper from the water. You'll start to see the aluminum turn the color of a penny, that brown copper color that we see sometimes. Hopefully this starts to work. Okay. I got some bubbling going on in there. And again, I might have to lower things so you guys can see it a little bit better. If we let this go long enough, and forgive me if this is shaky on the way down. Oops. If we let this go long enough, what would happen is this water would turn completely clear. And all that would be left at the bottom, take a guess. Aluminum sulfate, right? If we pull the copper from the body of water that has copper sulfate in it, that's what you're left with. So can we see it starting to turn brown a little bit? Can we see it bubbling and fizzing in there? Oh, it is generating some heat, that's for sure. Nothing like calcium chloride heat, but it is generating some. And you can start to see it turning brown. That's pulling the copper out. And like I said, there's a little bit of smoke coming off of it, but what we're starting to see is it's pulling the copper from the copper sulfate. And what's settling out at the bottom is aluminum sulfate. So the aluminum in sulfate is settling out at the bottom while the aluminum is actually pulling the copper from the solution. So it's pretty neat. We're not going to have enough time to see this through to the end. It does take quite some time, but you can see that we're having a reaction there now. And again, the purpose was just to show that aluminum is more reactive than copper. A lot of folks think the way the aluminum would remove the staining is because aluminum sulfate has a low pH. Trust me, that doesn't hurt, but when aluminum sulfate's added to water, the sludge that drops out that you normally see, that has a very high pH. So the pH really, and even the high pH, which is more corrosive than a low pH anyway, that's not playing the major factor. The major factor here, like I said, aluminum, more reactive to copper. I think you can see that going on in there. If not, I'll hold the vial up a little closer once again. But we can see that aluminum hopefully has turned brown and that we're bubbling and fizzing and there's smoke pouring out of it. And just again, it's the nature of the two metals and the reaction we get. I've done this at shows before, and it takes probably about a good 2 hours, at least in this method with aluminum foil, to pull all the copper out. And what we end up with is clear water with aluminum sulfate at the bottom. And of course, the chunk of aluminum that stays the penny brown. So hopefully that's kind of neat. We have Tal Milliken coming up in a little bit with his tools. Any of you who are in any of the groups or have been at any of the local trade shows know who Tal is. He's got a lot of interesting tools that solve a lot of problems that we have in the industry. A lot of the tools out there aren't made for what we do. But you know what? Tal, he went out and found the answers. So I'm going to turn this off. He'll be up in a little bit. and hopefully this was a pretty neat experiment for you.
4-lobe knob found on the positive flow and many stay-right pumps and motors, etc. And if you've worked with this, you know that if you get in a hurry, you wind up offering up a lot of involuntary blood donations, and that was what was happening with me. Socket wrench, if you're using it that way. Basically, if you're using a drill, you just attach it to the bit. You'll notice that there's a little yellow and black ID strip with funny symbols on it. Those symbols represent all of the knobs that the socket works on. So you just take the symbol that's appropriate to the knob you're working with onto the nearest lobe and let the drill do the rest. It's really that easy. I advise people that once you go to put it back on, give it a little shot to make sure you're not cross-threaded, and then take it home. Now that basically is the multi-torque socket principle. Now, when I entered P50 at the Orlando Pool Show in 2007, I also introduced two of its brothers. This is my MTJ 770. This is a two-sided polycarbonate socket with a brass insert. It has a B side and an A side. You probably know already what they're for. The B side is for the old stay-right System 3 filtration system. It's a 2 1/4 inch knob, and it just slides right into that B side geometry. The A side is for Pentair's new 3-inch knob. It just slides right in like so. Now, a few years back, Pentair decided that they were going to change the lands and grooves in that 3-inch knob, and as a consequence, I had to retool the socket, so it now works on both. There's an inside geometry and an outside geometry. We are going to be making this socket for quite a while until someone tells us that there are no more stay-right System 3 2 1/4 inch knobs on the planet, and at that point, this will cease and desist, and we will take up the slack with our stainless steel system. But more on that in a minute. The third member of the initial trio is my MT100. This is aluminum. It has a 9/16 end and a 7/8 end. The 9/16 works on the old funky Hayward Swim Clear Pro Grid or any 9/16 hex nut out there in the field, any one of them. The other end is a 7/8. It works on all of the big boys that have the 7/8 hex nut holding the clamp assembly together. The 9/16 end also fits or works, accepts what I call the connector nut on the old positive flow band, usually found at the bottom, sometimes at the top, sometimes both. At any rate, this is the same connector nut that Jandy uses on their DE series. So if you have any of these of the Jandy DEs in your stable, you might want to consider getting the M3. So that was the first three. The next socket to come along the next socket I brought about was what I call my heater plug socket. This was a suggestion by a heater guy. Actually, I wasn't doing too much heater. I wasn't doing any heater work, but he suggested this, and this is starting to come online and popular with a lot of heater people. It works on both the small or smaller MaxiTherm, MaxiTemp. I think it's called thermoregulator plug right there. It on the Unitherm governor plug that goes on the Raypak heater. So that's the HPS 200 heater plug socket. A cousin to the MT100 is what I call my MT100H. Not too far back, Hayward came out with a new series of filters called, well, the name escapes me now, but people were coming to me complaining that the MT100 no longer fit the filter band. Sure enough, Hayward had changed the size of the hex nut. This is a 3/4 inch nut, so I now make an aluminum socket that accepts the 3/4 inch nut for the Hayward Swim Clear series. And the other end is a slotted situation for wing nuts. It works on just about any wing nuts out there. It works on the wing nuts on some of the DE filters. And if you happen to have any that you haven't donated to the Smithsonian, my camera lady's telling me to step back. Anyway, if you don't have any, if you have some of these that you haven't donated to the Smithsonian, it also fits on the Harmsco filter wing nut situation. It also works on what I call just the flush plug that you find in pools that are sometimes really hard to get out, that you're struggling with needle nose pliers. The slot also fits there, like so, and to get it out, if it's really stuck, you can just take a screwdriver and stick it through that center hole, torque it loose, you're good to go. I'm going to mosey around this way, let my camera lady Julie, hi Julie, follow me around to this side of the table to some of my a couple of my multi-purpose wrenches. This is my original button hook drain plug wrench. This is originally it was in aluminum. We anodized it blue. We have since then graduated to stainless steel. Now, the real version of the button hook, DPW-150, as I affectionately call it, is about 5 or 6 ounces heavier, but it's obviously a lot more durable, and it also offers the buyer a lifetime warranty. It's a very versatile tool. As you can tell by the cutouts, I'm going to start. This is the old, but still in use, positive flow drain plug. Works right there in that hex cutout. This is a 1.5 inch drain plug, so that notch takes care of that. The center cutout works on a 2-inch knob. It also works on an SP. It also works on what I call the generic Pentair drain plug, like so. And it also works on the F&S drain plug. See a little notch right there? That's when always a bear to get to. Did I mention this already? The station. Now Pentair System 3 drain plug. Easy for me to say, huh? Anyway, it works on about 7 or 8 different plugs. So somebody came to me and suggested that I make a socket because sometimes the handle got in the way. There just wasn't enough room for it. So lo and behold, the drain plug junior, as we call it, it's got the same inside geometry as the wrench, but it gets to a lot of places that the drain plug wrench, the DPW-50, just won't get to. In other words, I'm sure a lot of you have seen yourself in this situation, or with the Stay Right System 3, you know how hard that is to get to. With the socket, basically, you could just get up under just about any challenging spatial situation and ratchet that plug right out. Now, while we're on specialty sockets, I'd like to introduce you to one of our newer sockets, 250, MT250. Again, the button hook does have a special slot in it for the F&S Plus drain plug, as it's called, but I decided to go ahead and make it a little easier by making it an individual socket. This is basically a 7/8 hex nut. So you've got the same situation going on here. Just take your socket, lock it in, and you're good to go. Just ratchets it right out. So from here, I would like to move around the table for a minute and show you another one of my specialty wrenches. This is KW-212 in the pool world as coordinator. This is a coordinator. This is what I call the travel mode. The handle is locked in this position. If you rotate it 180 degrees, it locks into place and becomes the tool. These two tabs right here on top will slide over the Hayward CL CL200 chlorinator cover anywhere on the dial, like so. There are two slots you will notice in front of the two tabs, and they slide right down over the Rainbow 300 320 series, just like that. Now, this space right in here works on so much equipment that I really didn't have room for it on the table, but I would like to give you just a brief overview, starting with the lid for the Duraglass pumps of Multi-Tork. The phone had a heat stroke, so we had to put it in the fridge for a while, and we're back. According to Rudy, we left off with the chlorinator, and we were talking about the CL200 lid. I think we got as far as the Rainbow 300 320 series. It fits there. And next I was going to show you how it works on the Duraglass. This is the Duraglass pump lid. Fits right down on top of that. It also works on the Australian Water Co. like so. And it works on about, I was at one of the pool shows and was walking around with this, and I ran across a Chinese distributor, and they had about 16 different pumps, and lo and behold, this didn't work on about 85 or 90% of them in an oddball way. So it will work on a lot of pumps that you probably never ever seen, and maybe not ever will see. It also works on the Rainbow, the old Rainbow Star Clear series knobs. There's also a smaller one. It also works on that. It also works on the jammy valves. It works on the Pintair valves like so. Grabs it right up. It also works on 1.5 and 2-inch ball valves. If you've got one that's stiff and won't move and you can't lube it or whatever, it does rotate it. And even if this is a 1.5 broken one, and you can see one wing, which I'm sure you run across occasionally, especially down here in Florida and other sunny places. Even if you've got a wing that's completely missing, because the chlorinator body catches it down here in the broad part of the body, it will rotate a knob even though half is missing. You'll notice that the chlorinator has two prongs on it. This is the anodized aluminum prong I was telling you about earlier, and all of this hardware holding together is stainless steel. You've got one that's stationary and you've got one that swivels. Now, it's really hard to see here in the shade, but there's an inscribed arrow on the prong itself, and then embossed into the body of the chlorinator there are two circles. There's a small circle and a larger circle, and they both have arrows that point towards the engraved circle. If you line up the small circle, it allows you to capture the smaller pump rings, mostly that Stay-Right has. If you rotate it around to the larger circle, it allows you to capture the whisper flow and IntelliFlow locking rings. For example, I've lined them all up. It goes real fast when you do that. One tooth goes here, one tooth goes here, and you just rotate it counterclockwise and it takes it right off, unless you prefer kicking it or hitting it with a stick or whatever. It works really well. I think I've just about covered everything there is to know, except if you're in a situation where you're in close quarters with another piece of not body-friendly equipment, and you're concerned about suddenly what you're working with breaking loose and you smashing a finger or whatever, you can lock this handle 90 degrees for this side of the tool, and you can rotate it 90 degrees and lock it into place for this side of the tool, so you've still got some extra torque. Lock it up and you're done. One other specialty socket that I haven't mentioned yet, which is one of my new ones. This is my MT225. I call it the rocket socket. It's designed for use with all of the floor sweep valve control systems, A&A, Quick Clean, Caretaker, Pool Valet. This is the standard 7/16 hex nut that you usually find on it. And you know, you can see that it's very close to the band and sometimes really hard to get to. That's why I have a nose cone. If you don't have a drill with you, it does come with the most of our sockets come with their own bit. But if you don't have your drill with you, again, you can take a screwdriver, run it through that center hole in midships, break it loose, and then just torque it off by hand. A lot of these do have a 3 or 4 lobe knob like this, and if they do, again, you can, if you have it with you, can go back to the MT50. Same deal. The other side I wanted to show you, the other end of the MT225 I want to bring to your attention. These aren't really popular everywhere, but I've had some people tell me they were grateful that they saw this. This is the Johnson plug and the 4 wings at the other end of the MT225 fit very conveniently down into the cavity. Again, you can take your screwdriver, break it loose, and just torque it right out. So this is the Rocket Socket MT225. What I wanted to talk to you about now, we are in the process of upgrading some of our line to what I call my S series, or stainless steel. And I'm going to get my lovely camera lady to pan around to my display so I can attempt to explain. This is our existing MT301. Just up until literally a couple of days ago, it looked something like this. It had a polycarbonate 50 in it, a polycarbonate 770, and the aluminum 100, which has been part of the trio for quite a while. We are in the process of essentially selling out and sunsetting the polycarbonate 50 and replacing it with the new MT50 -S. This is stainless steel. It does the same job, same equipment, same hardware as the polycarbonate, but a lot more durable. In fact, along with every other piece of equipment or socket in the S series, this carries a lifetime warranty, and it does come with a bit. Now, I talked about the 770 polycarbonate earlier. To revert just a second, we are now upgrading the polycarbonate 770 to our MT770-S, again stainless steel. Now you will notice right off the bat that unfortunately, bear with me just a second, we are unable to defy the law of physics, so you cannot use the new 770S on the old Stay-Right System 3 2¼ inch knob. It just will not work. It was designed specifically for the new System 3. About 5-6 years ago, I'm not sure exactly when, and Pentair had no reason to tell me, and it's very hard to see, they changed the size of the lands and grooves. The one on your left is the quote-unquote old 3-inch knocket. The one on your right is the new one. It fits like a glove on the new 770. The old quote-unquote System 3 still works, but there's a little bit of play. And what I recommend you do if you're using the stainless steel socket with the old knob is maybe wrap a piece of cloth around it so it has a nice tight fit, because otherwise you might start chewing up the lands on this particular, on the old knob. Just trying to give you an idea for what's on the horizon for Multi-Tork. Now, we do have now for sale the MT301 AM, or all metal value pack. It has a 50S, the 770S, and our aluminum MT100. So it's all metal, and again, we do package it with a bit. I'm a firm believer in kits and saving all all of you out there money. It always pays. At least I feel like I always like a deal, and I'm sure most of you guys do too, and gals. I mentioned the button hook and the button hook junior. We sell these separately, but they're also available as a 2-pack, a kit. This is the DPW-2. This is the junior button hook, I'm sorry, drain plug wrench 150. This is the DPW-J or button hook junior. We sell them together as the DPW-2. Now, we sell all of our sockets separately. For example, we're going to be selling the 770 polycarbonate for probably a while, simply because there still are a lot of the old Stay-Right 2 1/4 inch knobs out there. So until I'm told otherwise, until I'm advised that the last Stay-Right 2 1/4 inch knob has died and gone to filter heaven, we will keep making this. It'll still be available. Just to give you an overview, again, most of our sockets we sell singly or individually, I should say, but we try to group them together in kits that we feel most of the technicians, guys and gals in the field would be using them most of the time, and that's how we do it. Now, over the years, I've had people call and say, Tal, what's the price on these? How can I get them? And back when I was first starting out, I would do whatever it took to ring the register, as another inventor friend of mine says, and I would sell to any and all comers. The deal is, as time passed and I built up a network of distributors, I could no longer be competing with my distributors, so I had to stop selling direct. So if someone calls me, I'm more than happy to take the call and talk to you about my products, but I can't sell direct anymore. I'll be more than happy to guide you to my website. There's a where to buy page, and it lists all of my distributors. Now, to be honest, not all of my distributors carry all of my products, but you can certainly ask them to order it for you. You should press upon them, should they hesitate, that I do not require a minimum purchase. They can buy 1 or 1,000 or anything in between. My main mission is to get my toys, my tools into your hands, and that's what it's all about. So press upon them the fact that you really would like to have it, can they please order it? The thing about distributors, they need people screaming up and down before they actually pay attention. Now, I do have one particular the biggest little distributor right here in Central Florida on the other side of Orlando. The company's called Pool Service Products. It's run by a prince of a man, a true gentleman in the industry. His name is Alan Vanderbo. He's been instrumental in the success I have had selling my products over the years. He has a website called toolsforpools.com. It's an incredible website. It's a catalog. It has all the pricing. He carries essentially everything because he's closed. I ship, it's cheap, and he carries just about he keeps everything I have or that I make in stock. You may have a little bit of a shipping issue because we are here in Florida, and depending on where you are in the country, you could be paying. Or is the phone getting hot again?
No, but I'm afraid you're going to run out of juice.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up because my phone is dying. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. We really enjoyed this. Rudy, thank you again. This has been really generous of you to put this together. You're a great.
How about email and telephone numbers?
Okay. If you want to talk to me, if you'd like my 3-page catalog, my email address is pwlshrk757@msn.com. If you want to call me and talk to me, or you have questions about product, the toll-free number is 888-929-7818. Again, 888-929-7818. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. We've had a great time. Julie and I thank you so much for your time. It's been a blast. Listen to all of you.
What about Alan?
Alan's phone number is 1-800-683-4500. That's their toll-free number. And again, his website is toolsforpools.com.
And his name is Alan Vanderbo.
Gentlemen, I mean, just he's a really great guy. He's very nice to deal with. We're going to wrap it up now. To all of you, we've been privileged to be considered part of the essential. We owe it to our customers to keep their pools safe and clean, but we owe it to ourselves to also stay safe. To all of you, please stay secluded, stay safe, and all the best to all of you. Take care and thank you.
Okay, it's reading. I got a little back. At one point it said close.
Okay.
I'm like, no, don't close.
No, it's 10% running.
Well, I'd say the biggest thing we've learned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Transfer files.
Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, what a great day. You know what? We saw a lot of fantastic people presenting. A lot of folks wanted to come here and join us on Talking Pools and mix it up a little bit. We know a lot of us have been sheltering in place or stay-at-home orders. We know a lot of swimming pools are closed. It's just been topsy-turvy. So when I brought this up to the vendors, floored. They thought it was fantastic, a fantastic idea, and they jumped on board. So that's what we have for you. That's what we had for you today. And I think they all did a fantastic job. So for the vendors who gave up a little bit of time on their weekends to come and give us, like I said earlier, a sense of normalcy, nice job. You guys are badasses and we appreciate it. You guys don't speak up a lot in the group as we roll along on the normal basis, and I think that's out of respect and such, and we appreciate it. We do give you the opportunity to shout out on Fridays, but what we did today was absolutely fantastic. So obviously I'm not Fluidra if you were watching the schedule, but Lee was going to be with us, but unfortunately there was an issue, and we're hoping everything works out great for him. He's fine, just some things, but in either case, he had to drop out. So we're going to wrap it up with Tal being the last one to visit with us for today. If there are other vendors in the group, I'm happy to entertain the idea of this rolling forward. There's no reason it has to stop now. Just don't want everybody to pile up on top of one another. That's why we like to go with a little bit of a schedule. For the folks that are in the group, the only other thing I really wanted to talk about, I know we're starting to look at, like, we're going to open back up again soon, and we're going to be back out there taking care of these pools. And in a lot of cases, they have not been occupied or run at the same level as they have in the past for the past month, 2 months. If you need help, reach out. That's what we're here for. There's a lot of talent in this group. a lot of great minds, and we're all, one of the things I like about it is we are very helpful. It's a lot different than it was 20 years ago, where it was more competitive. The other thing is that we have on our Talking Pools page, or excuse me, Pool Operator Talk News page, there is a contest we've been running. I know you've seen it pop up a couple of times for our photo contest. So we're having a photo contest of basically troubled waters is what we're looking for. Anything from staining, black algae, swamps. We're getting a lot of swamp entries. Anything along those lines. If you have a picture of it, it doesn't even have to be from this week. Enter the picture. You have the opportunity to, well, first place is valued at over $1,000. We have, but in total, over $1,400 worth of prizes that folks are giving away. So the way it works, it's not a popularity contest. We do have a fan vote. We're going to take the top 5 votes for the fans, and then that's going to go before our panel of judges, which is Natalie Hood, Wayne, everybody knows Wayne, and then Doug McKenzie. So they are going to pick it out. But even a few days ago, somebody entered a picture of a dead cat in a bag. I wasn't really thrilled about it, and I thought that was like a real ass move. So I decided to leave it there, so that way everybody looks at the photo contest and that say, you know, what an ass. Anyhow, that's what that's all about. So hopefully today was good. That's the point of this. And I am going to go ahead and wrap it up, and because I have nobody else on schedule. But if there are other vendors out there, like I said, touch base with me if you want to jump on at some point in time tonight. We're happy to have you. And you guys, every single one of you are essential associates. That's the reality. That's what it comes down to. I have I've done what most of you have done. Not all of you. I've not, you know, run a aquatic facility. I've not built a pool, but I've done a lot of the other stuff. And you know, I'm a pool guy. That's what I do. I know I teach now, but trust me, if I could walk better, I'd still be out there cleaning and taking care of pools and fixing those types of things. But that's the goal here. As the most important thing is, I want everybody to understand we are all in this together. That's what it's all about. It's been a rough time. Some of us might need some help. Some of us might be able to give some help, but we are all in this together.